Hello, and welcome to Jason Cabinet's Experience. I'm your host, Jason Cabinets. Here at Cabinets HR, we're getting ready to launch a crowdfunding campaign on Refunder. For more info, go to https://refunder.com/cabinetshr. Our guest today is CJ Dancer. CJ, ready to be great today?
What's that?
You ready to be great today?
I am. Every day.
So, softball question.
Uh-oh.
What do you do for fun?
Chill, really. I think depending on the day. So if I just get off work, fun is probably playing some video games. If I go home, play some video games, watch a movie, chill, watch sports. The weekend, depending how I'm feeling, I'm getting old, man. I used to get out a lot, but now it's depending how I'm feeling. Yeah. If we get in the streets, I'll get in the streets a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think I'm at that point, man, where it's like just staying at the house.
I'm sure our age in the streets now is way different.
Listen, way different. I told it's funny. I said this year I'm gonna pick up golf. And I remember when I was younger, I was like, I'll never do a golf. Yeah. That's not exercise. That's terrible. That's just walking around on some grass, swinging a stick. Now I'm ready to swing a stick on some grass. I'm ready to.
Golf is fun if you play the right people, right? You can't play with people you don't like. Right. You gotta have like 3 really close friends to it.
The right people, the right beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Liquor. Yeah. Yeah. Make sure the drink chart cart goes around once in a while.
Right.
Yeah. So cheers real fast.
All right.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So what kind of video games do you play?
Okay. So younger, I was considered a gamer. Now I play Halo and a game called Risk.
Okay.
That's it, bro. That's the stretch. I keep telling myself, well, maybe I should pick up a new one. And I'm like, I don't feel like learning new stuff. I used to play Madden when I was younger.
I haven't played Madden in so long.
Dude, I tried.
I think that's when I played maybe 2004.
I think it was about the same.
Yeah.
Because I said, I'm gonna try. And I threw the game in. And now you gotta wait like a whole day before the game will start because it's gotta run the whole disc or whatever. Yeah. So finally, I'm just trying to play. I'm just trying to pick a team and just play. And it's like, you got to start a whole career.
Yeah.
And I was saying,
like, I don't want to be no fucking GM.
No, I just want to hit play. You know what I mean? And so, yeah. So I play Halo. That's pretty much the main one. And then,
So you like the master level of Halo?
I'm pretty good.
So if someone
I'm pretty good, man.
If some random person challenge you,
we can get it in.
You could beat them.
I'm pretty confident.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident, man. I'm not like, because they got the young dudes who like do this for a living now. The e-gamers.
Yeah,
I'm not there.
Yeah, they pay good money too.
Oh, they really pay these dudes. But I am at a place, man, where okay. Yeah, I ain't no sucker. Like,
okay,
we can shoot it up.
Back in the day, like parents would tell kids, get off that game, go play outside.
Yeah.
Now it's like parents say, you better stay your ass inside the house and play that game.
Dude, it's weird. So me and some friends were having this conversation. So we all got kids. As you know, I work with youth, right? And I don't know. It's our generation. We did it. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
We were afraid to let them go play, right? So when we was kids, we was kicked out the house.
Yeah.
Right. And you lived off the water hose.
Yep.
You didn't even eat food, man.
Like we went the way too far.
Absolutely. Now we're too afraid to let them out the door, and then we wonder why they're staying with us until they're 30.
Yeah, people like like participation trophies.
Yes,
we're the ones that gave it to them, right?
It had to be.
They didn't say
as mad as we want to be. They didn't do it, right?
Yeah. They're like, I don't want a 10th place trophy. You gave it to me,
right? Right. I got to put this thing up. You handed it to me, which is the most ridiculous idea ever. But
I know. Kind of still on game a little bit. Have you ever watched a show called The Chai that comes on Showtime? It's like a show about the South Side of Chicago, right?
Okay.
And then a scene where it's like an all-black high school where these 2 kids are gamers, right? A black guy and a black girl, right? And so about the video games at school, and they got like they're gonna get kicked out. And the finally the teacher said, "Well, what are you kicking them out for? All the white kids play game and get paid a lot of money. How come we can't do it here, right?" Like, man, that's freaking pretty, like on point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of right now is different than, and I think we are trying to wrap our heads around like, how do folks make a living now? So when we were younger, right, you're supposed to go to school and then you graduate school, then you either went to college, joined the military, or found some job, or you were in the streets, right? You had like 4 options. You know what I mean? Now, are you seeing like you got TikTok
Oh,
folks
so many
making money?
options, so many
You got
options.
ladies selling feet. Like,
Yeah, I
like
know, right?
there's money to be made out here. And it's hard to tell the youth, like, do
No.
this thing.
I mean, how can you tell the youth, go get $100,000 student loan, be in debt with your life? You know, and
Right.
for, you know, especially against I won't call it a bullshit degree, but like you get a degree in, like, you know, philosophy
Come
or
on, you know what it is.
or you know,
Yes.
so you know, I hate to say liberal arts because it's a good
It
degree.
is what it is. That's
Yeah.
what I got mine in.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those areas where when you finish, you're looking for a job, and the job you're looking for is going to be one of those starter jobs at about 30, 35,000. Now, the young people now, they'll get their liberal arts degrees and still want to make 80, 90,000 coming out of college.
Yeah.
Right. But the reality is, yeah, I amassed a lot of debt in college. You know, I've been fortunate. I've made it. It's helped me through life, but it's the same thing, right? It's kind of hard to tell a 15-year-old right now, and they have and it's not even illegal means. There's still illegal means out there, but there's a lot of
we're not
legal
talking
means
about
now.
those, yeah.
Right. But there's a lot of legal means where at this age they can make real money.
Yeah.
Right.
Like 2 examples. Have you heard of this company called I think it's called Collie's Lemonade?
Yes.
Yeah. Like she's 13, 40 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll make this up. I think she's worth $1 million already, or close to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. My
You know?
daughter, she follows these different people on either YouTube or whatever. There's one young lady, she was making crazy money. She was making that slime.
Okay, I knew what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like the slime queen of the, and it's like,
I mean, if your kid making $1 million a year,
making $1 million a year making slime, go make slime. What can I tell you?
how
Like,
you gonna say go study for your
history or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't even know how you justify it.
You know, like I'll pay.
Because now we're living off you, right? Like
Exactly, right. I'm your manager. I'm getting a percentage, right?
Right.
It's insane, right? And then have you heard this guy called Mr. Beast? This big YouTube guy.
I have not.
Man, he's like 23, 24 years old, worth almost $1 million
Really?
off YouTube videos.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Off YouTube videos. YouTube videos. It is a restaurant called Mr. Beast Burgers.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, he did a guest appearance on Gordon Ramsay's cooking show about a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And everyone, of course, knows Mr. Beast is, right?
Yeah.
They know,
Except for me, probably. I'm the only one.
If you see him, you know, right?
Okay.
He does all these crazy videos, like, you know, it's just craziness, right?
Yeah.
But top-notch videos, almost $1 billion, 23, 24 years old, right? I mean, and like you said, oh, hey, daughter or son, you get it for school.
Come on.
Dad, I had a business. I have business.
Dad, I'm in here making money. Leave me alone. There was so I don't know if you've noticed, there's like been this social media thing going on. I think it's a TikTok stuff, but it's like basically, I don't even know how I'm gonna describe it as best as I can, right? So TikTokers, people send them like different emoji things, and they'll make these noises based on what you send me, right? So I first seen it, this girl was doing it. Now it's like all these videos are coming up, and there was one in particular where the mom was trying to tell the boy to stop doing this because he needed to go do something. But apparently the dude was making like $6,000 a day.
Yeah.
Right. And at some point I'm like, man, I don't know if I'd tell my son to stop. Like, go make your money, man. 6,000 a day. What are you gonna do legally at 17 years old?
How ruthless would this be? Like, suppose someone has a 14-year-old kid, right? And the parents say, you need to go, you need to do this, whatever. And the kid says, give you a piece of paper. What's this? I'll pay the mortgage for the next 5 years.
Leave me alone. Yeah. I don't. So you know, the field I'm in, right, is within youth and education. It is a tough conversation because I still believe in the value of education. Yeah. Right. The value of being a learned person, but it's tough. Yeah. You know, it's like if you can sing, right? If you really have the chops, why wait until you're 25, 20? You know, if you're 13 and you're showing promise, you know, if you're the Michael Jackson of the world, do we hold that back because I want you to complete calculus? Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the right way. And
or you can sing really good. Why get a music degree? You know?
Yeah, right. Like, I get it, and I can argue both sides, but at the same token, it's like,
now,
life is short.
The one good thing about college, to me, it's more the social aspect. Right? You get to meet different people, especially like you were raised up with nothing but white people, nothing but black people. One demographic you meet. Hopefully, you go across different people that you can meet. Right? Yes, different backgrounds. That is goodness on that. Yeah, but it's a tough sell now.
Well, until they did this whole affirmative action thing in colleges, it may not be as diverse moving forward. But
with that, do you think HBCU is going to have like a significant increase in enrollment?
No,
No. Okay.
I don't think so.
No.
I know that's kind of the rumors, like, oh, now there's going to be this uptick. I think it's different students who are applying to predominantly white institutions and HBCUs. I think you're still going to have students applying to predominantly white institutions. There might be a small uptick, but one of the challenges with HBCUs is the cost of HBCUs, right? Most of them, if not all of them, are private institutions. And so they don't have the same private institution financial support.
I thought they were all public, to be honest with you. I didn't know.
No, they're all like, so they're all part of, like, not all, but most of them are like former land, what they call them, land grant schools, right? But over time, they're not publicly funded.
Okay.
They receive some federal grants. I'm sure you hear over the years, like every now and then the president will write them in for some funding, but most of them are still considered private institutions, right? And so with that, there's a specific cost. Like, there's not an in-state tuition versus an out-of-state. Usually it's like, this is the fee for it. It costs this amount of money to go in, right? And we're a small school. We don't have a lot of donors, so we don't have this pot for you. So if you can't afford it, see what the feds can offer you, get some scholarships, versus like a, of course, this is going to be the cream of the crop, but versus like a Harvard, Yale, who, they have this humongous pot of money.
They got the endowment that can probably
they can take care of you. So if you come in, we got you. If you can make it in,
it's like a Harvard. Find a way to, why you even paying tuition to Harvard, right? They should be
for what, right? And I wish, I don't know if we'll ever get there. So part of my work, I worked for the city for a while. And I don't know if you're familiar with Seattle Promise. It's a 2-year free college program. I do hope at some point we move into a space where post-secondary education is like K-12, where it's free, right? I do think that, I hope that's the next stage of education. It probably won't be, because we still live in an elitist kind of society, right? And I think folks have connected college with privilege, right? So you don't just get to go to college. You have to prove that you should be in college, and you have to earn the right to be in college, especially these top tier handful of colleges. And so I don't want just anybody in it. I don't, if you can't afford it, if you don't have the grades, then you shouldn't be part of the upper echelon, upper tier of society. And I think we still look at colleges in that way.
What's your take on this? And I have no idea if this is true or not. But I know, like when Deion signed up for Jackson State, I heard other people criticize like HBCU alumni as not giving back as much as they should. I heard stats like maybe 1% give back, 2%. Of course, I'm totally make that up. Versus like, like
who knows, right?
Like versus white school, they say like 50% give back.
Nah, I don't honestly. I think I don't know the numbers either. I probably should, but I don't know the numbers.
If the numbers are more even, why do the HBCU alumni get so much criticism?
So you don't get a lot of alumni across the board paying or giving back to their HBCUs. Some do, right? It's on an individual level. It's hard to compare the two, because now we're getting into societal norms and things, right? What sort of degrees are offered at HBCUs, and then what are job attainment once you leave an HBCU? Do you have the financial means to reinvest in your HBCU, right? Versus maybe some predominantly white institutions, their alumni base may have the means. Some colleges like the University of Washington, on average, they have 38 to 40,000 students every year, right? So their alumni base
way bigger.
Is going to be larger than maybe a HBCU that has an enrollment of 4,000, 5,000 a year, right? I'm just, I'm sure some are larger, right? There's probably a variation, but I don't know of any HBCUs that are 40,000. Like, I don't, maybe 15 is probably a large one, right?
Okay.
So is it apples to apples? Probably not, right? And then I think certain HBCUs, absolutely, they get a lot of alumni donations.
Probably like Howard, Florida A&M.
I would say Howard, a Morehouse,
Probably Spellman.
Spellman, right? If I look, if we pull up some of those rocks, we'll probably see, okay, there's a significant amount of return on investment of alumni. Your smaller ones, maybe like your Prairie Views of the world, maybe not.
Yeah.
But again, I graduated from the University of Washington. I don't give them. I feel like I gave them enough. So maybe it's a black thing too. I don't know. I'll take it there. You don't have to take it there. Yeah, I'll take it there. Maybe we feel like we gave them enough. We don't give you no more. You figure it out.
I paid overpriced.
Yeah, I gave you enough. I paid you in parking. I paid your food. I gave you tuition. Deal with that. That should cover you.
That's funny, man. So going back to Madden real fast, right?
Okay.
Did you have a play in Madden that was like unstoppable?
Of course.
What was your play?
I don't even remember what it was called. I had like 4 run plays and about 4 or 5 pass plays. So you remember Madden, you could set up your playlist, right? So I would set those plays, had 4 or 5 pass plays, 4 or 5 run plays, and then I had like 3 defenses. If you could figure me out in those, and then I would just flip them. You know how you would just go right? So I don't remember. I know one was like I strong right, and then I would flip it to the left if I needed to, right? And then, man, most of them were like the passing games were deep cross routes. Yeah. And you would just throw your extremely fastest guy, whoever the fastest guy on the team was. I don't care what his hands were. You just threw him over there, and then you just threw the ball in the air, and then they caught it, and it's touchdown.
Mine, when Deion Sanders with the Cowboys, I played them right. I put him receiver.
Oh, you put him everywhere. You're that guy.
Yeah, 50 yards out. I would figure out who's a slower cornerback. Match against a slower cornerback, switching them, and just run the fade.
Just go all
every
day.
Single time, touchdown.
All day. Yeah. So I didn't like you. I would, and then on defense, like then if I saw someone doing that, then I'd have to play safety. And it was like, okay, I got to fall all the way back. Yeah, that was a cheat code.
Yeah. So for my opinion, right? Like recently, every cat I know that just graduated from college, like last 3 or 4 years, none of them is doing whatever job they get has nothing to do with the degree.
Okay.
Are you seeing the same thing, or?
That's a tough question. I don't know if I see it that way per se. But it is a challenge. Or I've seen people who did do whatever their degree was. And now they're shifting gears. Right. So recently I ran into a friend of mine. He went to law school, all the way through law school, been a lawyer. And he's like, I'm done. This guy's like in his 30s. So you can imagine how much time you spend, right? Because you got to do the K-12. Then you got to do the 4 or 5 years of undergrad. Then you got to go to law school, right? So what are you in your mid-20s before you even start practicing? You spend all that time, and he's like, I'm done. I think I want to do something else, right? So I think it was, to your point earlier, I don't know if we were talking here or if it was a conversation we were having before this, where part of college is the experience of getting to know other people, right? So a lot of times in our community, we're told if you go to college to get a job, like that's the goal, right? So we have this one track mindset, which is I want to do this thing, right? Mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, botany, whatever it might be, right? I'm gonna do this thing because I feel like that's what I liked when I was in the 11th grade or something, right? You know, what are you, 16, 17, trying to make lifelong decisions? Then you go to college and you start taking these classes and you're like, I don't know, but I told myself I'm gonna do this thing, so I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, I can't quit. I can't give up.
I'm gonna be a quitter, right? Or I'm gonna disappoint my parents or whatever. Then you get your degree, and 1 or 2 things happen. Either you can't find a job in that field, either you realize during that process you really didn't want to do it, but you just kind of are doing it. Or you get old enough and you realize I want to do something else in my life, right? I don't have enjoyment in this particular thing. Me, I got my degree. I started electrical engineering. I thought I was going to build robots and send them out to space when I was a kid, right? That was my thing. And then I took physics and I was like, no, this ain't my thing. I need to find something else. And so I really liked my African-American studies classes and really getting into the understanding of just how different peoples came to this country and the experiences that different people's had while they were here. That intrigued me. I didn't know I was a history buff. I became a history buff, right? Well, when you start, as you said earlier, you start going into the social sciences of things. It kind of leads you, there ain't too many paths after that, right? And so, I kind of led myself into education, and I've been doing this ever since. So I can say personally, my degree is the field that I'm working in, right? But no, everybody doesn't have that. I know several people that got a degree in something and they building homes right now, right? They're not doing anything related. I got a friend of mine, he did business, then he went into like theology and got his master's theology, and then he was like doing work for corporate 500 business as a manager, right? Like nothing related to other than the business piece, but even what he focused on in business and what he ended up doing with that company was not related, right? It was two completely different things. And now he's not even doing that. He's doing his own thing.
Yeah, I know someone got a PhD in microbiology, worked there for 3 years, got tired of it, become a software developer.
Yeah.
And she'll say, like, she solves way more problems as software developers did as microbiology, which is like, I was like, man, how do you get a lot of money, like a time? I mean, the other thing you have to say, like, but you have to be smart to get a degree in microbiology.
Yeah, you do.
Right? So
yeah,
you can figure anything out, right?
Yeah, you do. But I think some of it is, let's say you do get into the space. I had a friend of mine, he was doing chemistry, right? Worked for a company and just didn't feel right doing the work. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you get in it and you're like, there may be too many personal compromises I'm making and I don't feel fulfilled in this. And again, some of these decisions we're making and we're 17 years old, trying to decide what we want to do for the rest of our life. We ain't even lived life yet.
No.
Right. And so you get out there and if you're fortunate enough to actually get in the field, does the field love you back?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And does your brain not fully form until like you're 24, 25? Anyway,
so for boys, like for men, 25.
Okay.
Young ladies, it's sooner. I think it's 18, 19.
Okay.
So when the brain fully connects with your cerebellum and it all. So for which is probably why we make a lot of the decisions we make when we're young dudes.
Yeah.
Because really what it is basically is you are not fully able to connect your actions with future impact.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Right. And so you base your decisions off of, for men, it's what makes me feel good and feel right in this moment.
Right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And
the future be damned.
And some scientists, whoever does these studies, right? Some part of the study was because young men had to be the hunters and gatherers. Right. And so if you're too concerned about the future, you're not going to chase down the gazelle, right?
Logic,
because now you're thinking about, man, if I trip and hurt my ankle, and I won't be able to walk anymore. So maybe I don't want to go chase this thing, as opposed to I'm sporadic. I'm in the moment. I need to go get that thing. I'm gonna go get it. And whatever happens, happens. And that just is what it is. And so there's some of this physical development based on, I guess, natural need. And it decided if we connect that brain too soon, they're not going to go get the meat. Nobody's going to eat and everybody's going to starve. So let these dudes be dumb until they're about 25, 26. And then some of us, it's until our 30s.
Yeah. Or later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some people never grow up.
Some people, I know a few of them, man. Yeah.
So from your point of view, what should the purpose of college be?
Oh, okay. I can break it down pretty simple. Number one, network. As you spoke earlier, there's not going to be another moment in your life where you have so many different people from so many different backgrounds in one environment. It just isn't going to be. I don't care who you work for, where you work. Maybe the military might be the closest example, but their numbers aren't going to be the same. Like I said, the University of Washington is 40,000 students that have unique stories and different backgrounds. You can meet a lot of people. I met this dude. He was didn't know this at the time. Cool cat, cool dude. But he was like a Japanese prince, basically. I didn't know. He was just a regular dude to me. We were just talking and smart guy too. Smart as hell. Like the dude, he completed his calculus series. It was a 3-part series. He one quarter. He took all 3 of them, completed them, got A's and all. The dude was out out of this world, right? And we just chopping it up, just getting to know each other. And he's like, yeah, I came to UW. I really want, there's this Seattle, Japan connection, right? So he's like, I want to just come here. And as we're talking, he's just telling me his story about his family. They own like all these different hotel chains, and his lineage is from royalty, right? And so when he goes back, when he finishes colleges and he's done sewing his or whatever it is, right? He has to go back and run the family thing. And so it's just opportunities like that a little dude from the south end of Seattle, what am I going to connect with someone like that on just a regular? So number one, networking. Number two, get to know yourself. Like you go there at 18, 19, you got 4 or 5 years, but you're in a safe bubble to explore and get to figure out who you are in life. And it's an environment to which there's a lot of different options in front of you, right? And so that to me is underappreciated, that you get to just be young and dumb and goofy in a somewhat safe space, right? I know things happen, shit happens, I get it. But use that as an opportunity, because you're still being taken care of in some ways by your parents, right? There's still some financial aid. I mean, so your responsibilities have increased, but they're not life responsibilities for the most part. Some people's stories are different, right? But for the most part. And then I would say number 3 is the education side of things. Like become a learner. One of the biggest things for me that I gathered is I was a terrible student, horrible student in high school. And I knew that, but I maintained my horrible student activities into college, right? And what I was missing was the vast amount of information and knowledge that's right in front of me, right? That what other environment you gonna get that? Here are the people who are at the forefront of doing the work, the theory-based work in whatever area you're in. If you're fortunate enough to go to a school that's like a research-based institution, like the UW, I keep throwing UW out there, but where you're forefront of cancer research, all these things, you're in that bubble. You can learn all of that from the people who are actually doing it, right? And then you've got all these vast libraries. So the knowledge base there, but I think we miss that, right? And we get caught up in, I just want to get a degree. How's the sports teams doing? You know what I'm saying? So those would be the 3.
Isn't it crazy that kids pick a school based on how good the football team is?
Oh, listen, man. I've got a friend. I don't know if they're going to see this or not. I hope not. I got a friend. She's basing her decision off of how close is the Starbucks and other shopping to the school. The Starbucks was number 1, and then other shopping stuff. I was like, that can't be your purpose for a decision of that magnitude. It also speaks to the privilege of which we've grown to come from, right? So my kids' experience is almost a 180 from my experience growing up, right? So they can make different decisions because they have a different safety net. They have different information, right? So for me, it was, I didn't know I was gonna go to college, to be honest with you. I was part of a program that made me fill out applications.
When I got accepted, I passed out.
Look, and I just filled out the application because they told me, now this is back, so you're back in my time where you had to send a letter to the schools to request the application, right? And then you waited for that application to come in the mail. Then you filled it out. Then you sent the application in, or you faxed it in, right? And then you had to wait. Whenever it showed up, it might, you wait. And if you got the little letter, you knew you didn't get in. If you got the big letter, you got in, right? And so I think I applied to like 4 or 5 colleges. I got into 2. But it's something like my decisions weren't based on that kind of thinking, right? It was like, A, I'm just applying because someone told me to. So I really don't have that much information about college. B, okay, what kind of programs do they have? What would I be interested in? And then see like what cities are they in? Like, so I applied. So I'm from Michigan. I was born in Michigan. And so I have people in Michigan still. So I was like, oh, I'll apply there because then I can go back to my people. And then I applied to Morehouse, which is in Atlanta, because I'd been there before and I liked it. Right. And then the rest was here in Seattle. But listening to some of my friends and then the youth I work with, like their decisions, a lot of it is like kind of strange. Like,
So
that team might not be good when you get there, right? Like it's year by year. You know that, right?
So your friend, if North Dakota Tech Institute of
Yeah,
Southern
come
Minds
on.
Starbucks in every single room that's the
Listen,
college you going to.
Put it to the top of the list. And it's by the mall, it goes to the top of the list. Yeah.
That's insane.
It is wild, isn't it? Now they're mad, but this is the child they raised, God bless them.
So this advice I give young people to ask me, right? And a lot of parents are gonna get mad at me, right? So like if you're trying to get an MBA or go to law school, of course, get all A's, try your best, right?
Okay.
For example, I use suppose you're taking a history class, right? You have all A's, right? And the finals up, in order to get an A for the whole class, get an A, you gotta take an A. But if you blow it off, get a C, you can blow it off. Let's put all your friends say, hey, we're going to Vegas for the weekend.
Come on.
I say, you need to go to Vegas.
Come on.
You need to go to Vegas.
Have an experience.
You need to go to Vegas. Now, instead if you're trying to get an MBA, doctorate degree, whatever, then okay, you need to get an A right. Or some other circumstances, but
I even think.
But experience is more important to me, I think.
I agree. And you're only going to be 19, 20, 21, but so long.
Yeah.
Right. So I have a son in college right now. Right. And my words to him were have an experience.
Yeah.
Right. Be a student. Now I'm paying for this thing.
Yeah. I'm sure here just saying C's that to get degrees.
Yeah, it does.
Yep.
Yeah, it does. And I think to your point, it a lot of it depends on what do you want to do. Right. So he wants to be a mechanical engineer. I said, well, the 4.0 mechanical engineer is going to get paid coming out of college, basically the same as the 2.5.
Yeah. I've never seen a person make a hire or fire someone based on grade point average.
It's so rare, right? Now if you become magna cum laude or something, right? Okay, you get the little titles to it. You can attach that to your resume or something. Okay, a company, might look at you a little differently, right? But if you graduate from a prestigious institution, they're going to say, "Did you graduate?"
Yeah.
Yes, I did. All right. Very rare. And all my work, and I also worked in the post-secondary space. I can say maybe 3 times do I remember a company really asking about their cumulative GPA, right? Now, if you want to go into grad school, if you want to get, become a doctor, a lawyer, because you have to pass, so there's certain
it's more
things.
competitive.
Yeah, right. But in the end, it goes back to my 3 things.
Yeah.
Right. Networking, figuring out who you are as a person, and then academics, right? You have to juggle all 3. I'm not saying blow off academics like I did. But I think things got to have priority in place and it have to make sense. Right. And so when you sometimes, you got to tell your friends, no, I got to study, right? Now, you're there for a reason. But sometimes you got to say, let's go do Vegas, man.
Yeah.
Like sometimes just go live, have an experience, and then come back and hopefully you do okay on the test. So those nights have to happen. You got to have those nights.
So here's a funny story for you. When I went back way in the day, I was at college, me and my friend Shanna Gobos, right? I think we're taking a history of Mexico class, history of Russia class, right? Had final exams, the test like maybe 2 in the afternoon, right? And we just happened to meet up like 11 o'clock, right? Just happened to meet. And like, hey, let's go get some lunch, right? Mm-hmm. No, I don't know who it was. It was history of Russia class. We went to a Mexican restaurant.
Okay. Got it.
So we got there like 11:15. We started drinking margarita or whatever.
Yeah.
Next thing we know, it's 2:30. The class starts at 2. We were drunk as shit. We go to class. I have no idea this day what I wrote down. We both got A's.
There it is. You did the best. Right. You did the best you ever did.
Yeah. No idea.
It is crazy how that works.
We got
right?
A's? What the hell?
What the hell's going on? I don't even know what I wrote. It is crazy how that works. But then the times where you spend all this time.
Oh, yeah. Stressing out.
And you're reading everything and you're highlighting stuff. And you do all your notes and you feel you're ready. Then you get to that test and you sit down. You're like, I don't understand.
Boom, just brain lock.
I can't. What is going on? Right. And so you have those moments, right, in college. And I think, I don't know. There's not a right answer, way to do it. It's just one of those things where it's like some days you got it osmosisly and you didn't even know you knew it. And sometimes you spent so much time studying for it and working and going, and your brain is probably tired. And then when you show up for the
people
test,
realize your brain does get tired.
It does. It does.
You need rest and stuff.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And when you're young, you don't really think about rest. No. You compromise sleep when you're young. You're like, I just need.
Like you're young, I can sleep when I die.
Pretty much, right? Let me just get an hour in real quick.
Yeah, I do a quick power nap.
Listen, you get my age and you try that, you're gonna be asleep on some couch somewhere. I'd probably fall asleep right here.
So I have a good networking story for you. Wasn't on a story. I remember hearing this somewhere where this kid went to college in North Carolina State, and his roommate, like he was struggling in school, right? Like freshman, sophomore year, just really struggling, right? Couldn't make the grades, making like D's and C's, barely passing. His roommate is like super smart, right? Making all A's, like doing all these awards and stuff, And so the son called the dad, hey, dad, like, I'm going to transfer to a junior college close to home, right? Because I feel like I'm wasting your money. I'm making bad grades, whatever. And dad said, son, I'm not paying you to make A's. I'm paying you to be around people like your roommate.
There you go.
I'm paying that money to be around people like their roommate, right? I'm like, damn, that's it right there.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Because that roommate is going to potentially, maybe they own a business later down the line, right? Or maybe they're the CEO of a business down the line, or maybe they're the mayor, or whatever it is. And I'm not saying a good grades equate success, because there are people with bad grades that end up being successful in this space. But yeah, it's that idea, like, and we get so caught up in the score, in those grades, right, that again, we lose what I think is the purpose that you're there for, which is that networking thing. There are people you are going to meet that are your age or close to it, that at some point are going to become the next something. Right. And if you know that person, then you have an opportunity, and vice versa, right? You can work with each other. There are still some people I went to college with, they're on my board now, right? Like it's wild to see how we've grown. And now I'm looking at them as pillars of the community. Will you be part of my board? Right. Which then I ask you, will you fundraise, and will you? And they're like, oh yeah, let me connect you to this person. Like, I've gotten so much more. What's the old saying? It's who you know, not what you know. Right. You get so much farther with folks you know. And we all get that. We all understand that. Right. We all, like, if we go to the party, if we're trying to go to the club, you know anybody who's at the door? Do you know? Like, we get the concept of it's who you know, because we don't want to wait in line at the club, right? It's cold outside, it's raining, I'm trying to get right in, I'm trying to get a table. Like, we get it on that level. When it comes to this other side, it's the same thing, right? In that space, the folks who, because college is still, as I said, it's this hierarchical, it's this elitist space, right? And so when you are there, there's still this idea, like, I'm in college and I'm going to complete this thing, and then I'm going to go on, be the next senators or leaders of men and women and however folks identify in this space, that, be there, get to know folks, meet folks. I mean, I've been fortunate enough, for what I've had a good run at this thing. And a lot of it is I met people in college and before college, but you'll be surprised, like sports, right? Okay, if you are at a larger institution, some of these folks might go professional. It's cool to hang out with people who are professional athletes sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to be able to say, oh man, I'm gonna be in town. Can I get some tickets? Right? Yeah, I got you. Where do you want to sit? We can put you in this section. Cool. And then you get to front like you're the cool guy with your crew, because you got everybody tickets at the at the Mavericks game or something, right? Like, it's things like that if I didn't have college, there's certain opportunities in life, certain things in life that I would not have been able to do.
So suppose you talk to a group of people 15 to 25, what would you tell them some of the top skills they need to have to learn?
As far as what? Just life skills?
Like for me, it'd be public speaking and sales.
Yeah. Definitely public speaking. There's we grow up with a fear of that.
Isn't it something that says like people are more scared of death and skydiving than public speaking?
Yeah. Because I think when you put yourself on the stage, you're standing in front of everybody, you expose yourself. Right. and you don't want to sound foolish. You don't want to look foolish, right? So there's this, some folks have this built-in fear of failure or, but yeah, I've found in my life, I've had to, and anything that I've done, I've had to have the speaking engagement thing, right? Because even if you have an idea, you have to be able to promote your idea.
Yeah.
Right.
No matter what it is, you got to promote your idea.
No matter what it is.
You have to sell yourself.
Yeah, no matter what, right? Even if you're just speaking up for yourself, you have to be able to engage others and articulate what is inside of you so others can understand and believe and feel your passion, right? Yeah. So yeah, I would say public speaking. That's a good question. Be honest.
It's a good one.
Just honesty, right?
Yeah.
It's
honesty,
tough.
be authentic, be yourself.
Yeah, be you.
Yeah.
That's it. Be honest is be you. And I think we live in fear in a lot of ways, how we move in life. And it's until we get older, we become as men, we get that grumpy old man, you know, and it's like we don't even care anymore. I don't care what you think about me. I don't care. I'm gonna wear what I feel like wearing. I'm gonna do what I feel like doing, right? Because you have reached a place in your life where you're starting to be comfortable with you.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. Yeah.
Yeah. And you see, at least for me, there's more doors that open, right? So yeah, I would say figure out who you are and then get comfortable in that. Stop. And I see it with youth. I don't know if we had this problem as much. I'm sure we did, but social media is killing our kids because they think everybody is cooler than them, right? Or everybody's got the whatever, right? No, they don't. They're fronting, most of them. Yeah, honesty, public speaking. I think the other thing is, and I think I'm like respect people's time.
Oh man, I'm so big on that.
Respect people's time, right?
Yeah.
Now I know that's we can get into cultural conversations, right? About the value of the Euro time and you know, what do I mean by respect people's times, right? But I think there's something to like, yeah, folks are gonna be late sometimes. I get that, but you're holding somebody else up from doing whatever they need to do because they're waiting on you.
Yeah.
Right. And so just understand and then be open and honest. My people, my black folks, we like to say, oh, I'm about 5 minutes, right? Everything is 5 minutes.
And you just not got out of
bed. Right, come on.
Just not got out of bed.
You almost here? Oh yeah, 5 minutes. It's like, dude, you ain't even turned the light on in the bedroom. Yeah, you ain't brushed your teeth. You ain't did anything. You gonna be about an hour, right? And so just understanding that, I think over time, you get to, I sound old, man, having this conversation, but you look back and things do move quick. You remember when the old heads would tell you it happens fast, and before you know it, right? So when I say value time, it's not so much like be here at 1, so make sure you're supposed to be here at 1, be here at 12:45 kind of thing. That's part of it, but it's also recognizing that there's not a lot of it. Yeah. Right. This thing goes. And so understanding that all moments are important. The present is important. Right. And so if I'm not honoring your presence, then it's I'm almost being disrespectful to you. Yeah. Right. And so, yeah, I would say, you know, there's probably a ton more. I'm sure when I leave here, I'm be in the car. I'm like, oh, I should have said this, but those 3 are pretty good. Public speaking, honoring people's time, and then be authentic to yourself.
My thing is like suppose you have a company and the meeting's every Friday at 1 p.m. and some random person is arrives at 1:30 for 6 straight times, right? Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, that's you know, once in a while, you know, even you get the 105, 106, that's fine. But man,
I'm cool with that. I can work with that.
Like 20, 10, 50 minutes every time. Yeah, that's just disrespectful for people on their own time, I think. So I don't know if you're on TikTok, but I'm there quite a bit. This lady posted a TikTok talking about what does she call it? Like time lateness is a disability. Like if people are late, you shouldn't hold them to standard because they have something else going on, whatever. Of course, you know, people blast her and stuff like what's going on, right? Yeah. Being late is not a disability.
No. Now we've got, I'll be the guy for you. We got CPT, right? We got our color people time. No, it's just get up, man. You know what I'm saying? You know you got to be somewhere. You can't wait until the last. I do it sometimes too, even though I'm sitting here talking about times of importance, man. I'll be like, and you know, I found it. It's something was funny as I moved closer to where I work. I became later.
It's funny how that works, right?
Right, because you lie to yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You're like,
it's just around
okay,
the corner.
it only takes like 10 minutes. I'll
Yeah.
leave here in 15 minutes, right? And then it's like, oh, I got 8 minutes to get there. Let me run out the door. Whereas when you're farther away, you know, okay, it might be traffic, might be all these things, so I got to leave an hour before or whatever. Right? It is wild how I've gotten closer to the work, but I tend to be a little bit later getting in. Now, thankfully, I run my own business. So nobody's gonna fire me. But then, and you know, there's work from home. That's helped a lot. But yeah, there is that weird kind of, I don't know. I don't know if it's procrastination or whatever it is, but there's that weird space where it's like you lie to yourself about how much time it takes to get somewhere just so you can, I don't know, what are we doing? Getting 2 more minutes of sleep or just walking a little bit slower, like whatever it is that we do, we should be like, come on, let's get this thing going.
It's funny. So I was telling you about Shy at the south side of Chicago. Me and my wife, we've been watching, right? And this one episode, the father's named Darnell, his son's named Emmett, right? And so this guy calls Darnell on the phone. Hey, I'm broken down. Can you come get me, right? And he said, I'll be right there. Like, so the next episode, not the same as the next episode.
He still hadn't gotten there.
So he's like, man, where you at? Like, I'm right
around the corner.
And the son says, Dad, that's an hour away.
Yeah. So that's my brother. I got an older brother. That is him 1000%. He's either 5 minutes or he's right around the corner. We love to say right around the corner. I don't even make any sense. Ain't no corners around here. But
which corner?
Yeah, which one are you covering? Which one are you right around? Because I'm looking at him right now.
You're not around
I don't
corner.
see you. Right. Yeah, so that's him. He's right around the corner. Depending on which one he tells you, one's either an hour or one's 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right. So 5 minutes is an hour. And then right around the corner is about 2 hours. So just, you know, you can almost set your watch to it. Like, okay, I know what this means. Basically, it means I called you, you forgot, or, you know, you were doing whatever, and you'll get to me when you get to me. But that's, you know, you start to know some of those people too. And then you get to a point where it's like, okay, if I need you there at 3, I'm going to tell you 2 or 1. Right? And that's my point. Like, we shouldn't have to do those kind of things. Right. It's kind of, I don't know, it's just, I can't think of another word other than disrespectful, right? It's just not honoring my importance.
Or like the get together, the barbecue birthday party starts at 6, so people don't start arriving at 7.
Come on, you know that because what? Because we know the barbecue ain't gonna be ready.
Yeah, that kills me too. To me, when someone says like the barbecue will be ready at 6, the party starts at 6. That should be, to me, that means everything's done at 6, right?
It should be.
Yeah, but it never works like
no,
that.
It doesn't.
Never works
no,
like
it
that.
doesn't.
You get at 6:15, does not bring the meeting.
Look, what it means, you're lucky if you got that. What it means is, hey, where's the charcoal? Does anybody know has anybody cleaned the pit?
Yeah.
So it's 6 o'clock and you just now cleaning and looking for charcoal. That's usually what that means, right?
Yeah.
And then folks are sitting there with sides. And it's like, do I put my sides in the fridge?
Yeah.
Do I just leave it on the counter? Yeah, that's So, and then you got to know who those people are.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to know your people well enough to know that 6 o'clock means 6 o'clock, or does it mean 8?
Yeah.
Right. If you get there at 6, you're really just gonna be there talking.
Yeah.
And playing games.
Or worse yet, they'll put you out some work.
Or
you be the one.
Can you go pick up? Right. Or you got to clean the grill, or set the table, or run to the store because they done forgot the buns or whatever it is. Yeah.
So talk about your time as a director of Seattle Mesa, and what is it called Mesa? Mesa.
Yeah.
What is Mesa? Does the MESA stand for something?
It does.
Okay.
Mathematics, Engineering, Science Achievement. So funny enough, the program has been in Seattle since like the 80s.
And this is a nationwide program?
It is. Mostly on the West Coast. But they have some what do they call them? Some state offices in the East Coast, a handful, but it's mostly here. It started in California and it kind of stayed around this area. And so funny enough, in middle school, I was in the program. And so it really is geared towards getting young people of color in particular, interested and exposed to engineering. So this is before STEM was a thing, right? So they were STEM before STEM. And they would, in your 7th or 8th grade, you take a Mesa class. It was part of your math class. And you would do like hands-on activities, be exposed to engineering careers and opportunities, and then college. So that was my first time having conversations about college. Crazy enough, my mom worked at the UW, and I still really didn't think about college. All right. And so sophomore year, stayed in the program, got a scholarship. Like, this is cool. So they helped me gear myself towards college, because I really thought college was for like sports. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And you got to be super smart. You have to be super smart, 4.0, 15, 60 on the SAT, or good in sports. I was okay in sports. I wasn't great, and I wasn't the best student, right? Okay, let's go to college. While I'm in college, I was in this engineering program at the college. It's called MSEP, similar, but it's at the college level. Math, science, engineering programs, what that stood for. And I did an internship with the city of Seattle in their engineering department. All this is leading to so fast forward, they let go of folks at the city of Seattle. I had graduated college and I was looking for something to do. So I was a middle school coordinator, a middle school counselor at 2 of the middle schools here. And then that was up. And then Mesa just happened to be looking for a middle school coordinator. So I took that role at Mesa, and it was kind of this weird life circle where I started the middle school part. Now I'm leading it. And then the director at the time, Ana Maria de la Fuente, she was transitioning back to the Seattle school. So she was a Seattle school teacher. She was the director. Position opened, and I took over as the director. So I was the director there for probably 3 years. I think I was with them a total of 4 or 5 years, and 2 or 3 of that was the director. That to me was so I was young, right? I was like just 28, 30 as a director, right? It was a career eye-opening opportunity for me, because it was the first time I actually had to manage adults. And I learned so much in that time of not just the business side of running an organization, but also how do you support, supervise, and manage, if that's the right word, adults. Because I got into work with youth, right? Like, I want to support young folks. Then you take over these administrative roles and responsibilities, and you realize adults got issues, man, and you got to figure out how to manage grown folk in the workspace. So it was a huge lesson for me that I've taken so many career nuggets from during that time, that actually, we talking 15, 16 years ago, that I still use to this day, that's helped me be the director that I am now. But yeah, the program was a strong program. I'm not too familiar with how they're doing now. But it was a statewide program, and they had 6 different centers throughout the state. We were the Seattle one. We were housed at the University of Washington. We supported middle school and high schools in the Seattle area. And it really was about college and career exposure and access as it related to engineering and math and sciences. And then by the time I took over, STEM was a thing. So, it was this STEM thing, but Mesa was doing that and having those conversations way before this movement of STEM.
So this is a kind of joke, but it's not. I'm an HR. I like to say, like, you need great people to have a great company.
Yeah.
Have a comma, most of them fucking suck.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
It's something, man. I was I don't know. I think I was watching some clip on YouTube or something, right? And it's a wild clip where it was like, we pray and ask our friends to pray for us to get a job, right? It's like, I really want this job. I applied for it. I can't wait. You guys pray for me. Then the interview went great. I might get it, right? And then when they get the job, they hate the job. They can't wait to go on vacation, to not show up, to call in, right? It's all these things. It's like, well, you really asked for this thing, you got it. Now you don't want it. You're trying to figure out how to get out of it. Yeah. And it's tough because, as you know, right, which is why HR exists. Because there is this component of I can have the greatest interview process that ever existed, right? Whatever, all the feedback over 100 years of interviews, I take all the feedback and I create the ultimate interview process, onboarding process, right? It's still people, right? It's like I always equate it. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe you're gonna tell me not to, but I equate it to like dating in a way, right? So there are good interviewers, right? There are good people who will show you a face on a date and make it seem like, oh,
say the right words.
This is the best person. And then 6 months down the road or a year down the road, you really get to know that real person. Yeah. And you're like, no, this is a mistake. I hired the wrong person, or I'm dating the wrong person. I should have kicked it with her sister.
I remember when I got my HR certification like a few years ago, right? The instructor gave us an example, right? How people compare themselves in a bad way. So this lady was getting paid, I'll make this up, of course, like $40 an hour, right?
Okay.
I only had to work like a total of 10 hours a week. So I'm sure she had to go into work every day. Actually only work 10 hours a week, right? Rest of the time she's bullshitting Facebook, having a good time, whatever.
Sure.
She quit because people working less than her and she thought it wasn't fair.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Some of it sometimes is like the audacity.
Yeah, that's a good word for it, yeah.
And I've noticed that more post-COVID, right? So there was a culture in most places. Every workplace is obviously unique, right? But most places, it's Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
You're expected to be in from this time to this time, right? Okay, COVID happened. People were home. Now folks are saying, well, come on back, right? We're done. Come on back. And now it's almost this, how dare you ask me to come back?
Yeah.
Right. We shouldn't have to. We've been able to maintain this thing for so long. Why are you asking me to come back? Right. And it's an interesting thing when you deal with humans, man.
Yeah.
And
it is.
And what they expect, because we know the other side of what it means to run the business, right? Like I've been so I'm speaking as someone who's been in their role too, whereas I do my job, I want my paycheck.
Yeah.
Right. And unless you tell me I'm not doing a good job, I expect my paycheck. I have these expectations, right? Now we as the leadership have expectations also that you're going to do your job.
Yeah.
And you're going to show up on time and do these other things, right? But if we don't handle it accordingly and inform you that you didn't do your job right and in this process and this timely manner, it kind of ties our hands to what we can do. So we still got to give you your paycheck.
Yeah.
Right. But you don't know on the back end, like, we're trying to make it happen. We're figuring it out. We're trying to struggle. Sometimes I don't get paid and I hear you complain or see. It is a tough pill to swallow when you're the business owner.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the sacrifices you make so that in some ways they stay ignorant, right? Yeah. They're able to just, hey, it's payday. Here it is. Or when I show up to my desk is there. There's not a chain on the door saying we're evicted, right? There's certain things that they take for granted. And when you're over here busting your ass and then you see someone who's not, and then tough. Complaining, you're like, all right, man, this is, but then you've created a system. You have all these policies and which you're supposed to, which you need to, but it's like, they kind of have a little bit of the advantage, right? In certain aspects. Yeah.
Like I realize, like people say I want to work remotely and they say like production increase or whatever. But to me, at the end of the day, if the company says come in, you got to come in, right?
Yeah.
If you don't like it, you got to find another job.
Go find something else to do.
Like, I mean, some companies like want to have you in there, like me personally, I like to be remote, but I do like to see my people like once a week,
Yes.
I don't want to see everyone 9 to 5, 40 hours a week. That's some bullshit,
Yes.
But other people want to be there. Like I think Sam Altman from Y Combinator, like open AI company now. He wants people in the office every day, right?
Yeah.
It's just.
And if you don't want to, go do a TikTok thing. There's
Exactly right.
They're making money on TikTok. Go do that.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like sometimes you as the owner, sometimes I have to check myself like, should I not be asking this?
Yeah.
Like, wait a second. No, get in. Come on in. And we have a relatively lax environment, right? Because I appreciate part of what we built. So myself, Willie Seals, Marcus Harden, when we were building this thing out, there were certain aspects of the work world that we just didn't like.
Yeah.
Right. And we said, well, we're not gonna, we used to do this thing, right? Where, okay, let's say you're supposed to be either from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, right? Well, what are you doing at 4:15?
Yeah.
You're staring at the clock, trying to figure out, okay, is the supervisor gone yet? Like what's going, so for the next 45 minutes, you're not doing anything. No. You're trying to figure out how soon can you get out.
And that's 45 minutes you could be on the way home or something.
Yeah. And so we've created a space of fear, right? We created an environment to which I'm not getting a productive staff person.
No.
Right. So our part of our thing was like, do we want an environment to which people are living on fear and they're just hanging around until 5 and at 4:59 they're standing at the door, or do we want to just be honest? Like sometimes just go home. If right now you don't have, I know you have things to do, but right now it's not the time to start a new project or something, or you got to go get your kids. Like that's fine.
So what do you do in this situation? Like, let's suppose you have your life environment. People come and go as they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they work Monday, Friday, right? Monday through Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, matter of fact, like suppose everyone work remotely. Suppose someone said, "Hey, I'm taking my kids to this baseball game."
Come on,
all this kind of stuff.
I know where you're going. Go ahead.
And then like Friday at 1 p.m., you need some of this person, right?
Yep.
And they said, "I can't. I've already worked for 40 hours a week. I can't help you out."
Yes.
What happens? So
we most of our employees are salaried employees, right?
But that helps.
It does. Yeah. It's so I became a salaried employee. Probably, I think when I became the director of Mesa, and I realized the difference in how I felt as a person, because I didn't have to do this timesheet every 2 weeks, and like, oh, what was I doing on Wednesday at this time? Was I really here? And I just felt more like respected.
Yeah.
Like you expect a product from me. And you need a product whenever you need it, and you expect I'm gonna give it to you, right? If that means some days I'm doing 24 hours because I wanted to go to the baseball game, then fine.
And the problem between those out there still expect salary workers that work at least 40 hours, right?
So that's
then that's not the case.
So that's the other thing, right? And so it's one of these, when you make that decision as a business, you got to accept both sides.
You're saying you trust in that person.
Yeah, that's what you're saying, right? Because hourly, I can have you do timesheets. Remember the old school, you clock in with a little thing. And then that way I know what I'm paying for, right? I know you make X dollars an hour, you work this many hours, here's your money for your work, right? Salary, I'm hoping and praying you actually were working when you doing the work. But in the end, it's really, I have a product I need completed. So as long as this product is done at the time I need it done, then I don't have the questions, right? So if you were at the baseball game Monday through Friday and I needed something on the coming up Monday and you spent all weekend on it, okay, cool. I'll just deal with it.
Yeah.
Right. I've accepted that as part of the thing. Now to your question, it is tricky, right? My expectations are, though, I will get that thing at 1 o'clock on Friday.
Yeah.
If you cannot, then you need to submit leave.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are, right? So if you are not available, you go on vacation, you got family in town, or whatever,
or go to the baseball game from 1 to 5 and you work from 6 to 10.
Come on.
But so many people don't do that.
Yeah.
They're like, I work from 9 to 5. You just took off.
You just took off half the day. You didn't work 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think so many people take it, try to pull that card, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, that gets back to the right now you've hired a human.
Yeah.
And as they get comfortable where they are, They start to try to figure out how can
And
I
then
push this envelope a little bit?
Yeah.
How can I stretch out? Yeah.
And then us humans going to wonder why AI is going to take all our jobs.
Come on,
You
man.
know?
Yeah, and they get mad because the company is like, well, it's cheaper because I don't have to pay AI for all these hours, sick leave, medical leave,
AI needs no benefits.
none, right? And then I don't have to report to labor and industry and pay that a little bit of fee. Like it's all these things that this is the behind the scenes stuff, right? Now you may think you make $35 an hour or whatever it is a year, but there's a true cost for each employee, right? And that true cost is not what you take home.
Oh no.
Right. And so what I spend on you is not double, but it's up there, right? And so I need something out of that. And if you're not here, and I feel like we created a very good, family friendly, employee friendly. So when you tell me, nah, I can't make it, or I can't, then I'm like, wait a minute.
Remember all the birthdays you got off, all the kids things you went to,
what
all
are we
this,
talking about?
You know?
Yeah, I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks. I need this one thing, and you can't on this. No, that's not gonna work. Right. But it's tough when you've created that environment. So what I try not to do is, like, let's say it's 11 o'clock. I'm like, I need something by 1.
Yeah.
Because I know the environment I created.
Yeah.
Right. But sometimes things come up, right? And that just is what it is.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes things happen. But for the most part, it's like, okay, let's be realistic about what we're doing here. We're not trying to trap people, right? It's like, oh, I'm at Disneyland. I can't get it to you. It's like, okay. But there have been some times where it's like, wait a second, you should have submitted leave for that. You all the way in Hawaii.
I know, right?
You're not doing no work. And just because you get so the issue with salary is then, like, let's say they hop on for one meeting. Does that count or does that not count?
Yeah, you're right.
It gets tricky.
Yeah. So here's one for you. So I have a friend, he works at like one of the large corporations here in Seattle.
Okay.
So what he does, like whenever the CEO, the senior people in the company do a meeting, he's a person responsible for live streaming across the world, right?
Okay.
And so he had to hire someone to come in and like plug the cords in, right?
Yeah.
And he was just one person. And the person had the nerve to say he would only take the job if he was remote. So my friend, like, how you gonna do this remotely?
How do you do it?
He said, oh, you can hire someone else and I'll tell them how to do it.
Shut up.
Yeah. I said, dude, you're fucking with me. Ain't no fucking with
No, get the hell out of here.
He said, yeah, he told me like I should hire someone else to work on
straight face.
Yeah, straight face.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, is this?
I know. What do you say? The audacity.
The audacity. Now, is this millennial stuff, man? I wonder how much of it is like an age thing, because I think some of us wouldn't even think.
I would never dare to say no shit like that.
That's not even an option. You're like, okay, shit, I got to go. So I either take it or I don't.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think of, hey, why don't we get a third party in here?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also pay him, and I'll just tell him what. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's crazy, ain't it?
Yes, it is. But we live in some weird times, man, when it comes to, and there's probably, every generation says this stuff, right? So probably our folks' generation was like, oh, these guys are lazy. They don't want to do anything. Right. But it is really like what folks expect.
Yeah.
Right. And how they want you to cater to them. It is wild. I don't know where the lie was told to them or to us, right? Sometimes I look at what they do and their expectations, and sometimes I'm like, well, how come we weren't doing? Why didn't we ask for that? What? Wait.
Yeah.
That makes all the sense in the world. We should have been on that.
I know. They
right?
do. And they get every generation gets something right and wrong.
Yeah. Because there's something, because we still were part of that group where it was like, my parent, both of them really, but my dad for sure, like worked for one place for a year.
Those days are long gone.
Yeah, but that's
how
school,
it was back
right?
then.
That's kind of how they ingrained us. Like, find you a good job, stick with it for 20, 30 years until you're done, right? We were that last group that started to see like, folks ain't really doing that no more, and the companies ain't taking care of people like they used to. So I don't feel obligated to stay with them, because all they're doing are these 401ks that I can just take with me anywhere I go.
Well, Kim, like all these companies, like, they pretty much screwed over people in the pensions, right?
Yes.
And now they're like, oh, no one was loyal. You want to know why?
Right.
You want to know why?
Right.
You know?
Right. Pensions. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
my dad, he worked for Boeing for 30 some years. And, you know, I still don't get it though. I don't understand being a business owner, right? I'm a very small nonprofit.
Like, why am I going to pay you 20 years after you stop working?
And then how?
Yeah.
How do you afford that, right?
Yeah.
But I think the idea I understand wholeheartedly, that you gave so much for this business to even be, right? You put 30 years into this thing, right? I'm selling your product.
Yep.
And I'm selling it at this nominal rate that I get to be a multi-million gazillionaire, right? So you should get something off of that. I understand it in theory, but in reality, I'm like, man, that is a lot of money.
You retire 65, live 25 more years,
and I'm paying you 75% or whatever the percentage of what you last were paid. Like, it's a good ass deal for the person.
Yeah,
it's tough for the business, and which I can understand why businesses move away from that, right? But you know, then the flip side is they move away from it so they can give their CEO and boards more money, right? It's not because they don't have
it's not because they have a good heart.
No, it's not for the betterment of the people or the companies. Like, oh, we should do this thing because it's, hey, we're gonna make more money if we do this, so let's do this, right? So I think our teaching of loyalty, stick with this thing, you know, was kind of weaning. Now we've got this group of folks that's like, they're not loyal to me, I'm not loyal to them. I'm gonna give them a year. I got a friend of mine, he's worked at like 8 different places, 8 different years. It's like, you know,
you can do that now.
Who's next? I'm not married to you. I'm fine.
I guess me too. Like, companies, like, they'll fire Jason today. But if I don't give him 2 week notice, I'm a piece of shit.
Yes.
Are you kidding me right now?
Absolutely.
I can get fired on Monday.
Right now.
2 week notice?
No.
That works both ways.
Yes,
that works both ways.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think and that 2 week notice thing, that was I don't even know where that came from, right? But it's like this courtesy thing, right? But you're right, it only applies one way. You know what I mean? So if I don't show up tomorrow, then folks is gonna talk bad about me. I can't use you as a reference.
And you better catch my pay. You know?
Yes, you better.
It's on you to catch my pay.
It's on you. I'm gonna keep catching checks.
I'm not filling out no paperwork
at all.
I'm not gonna go to a mobile app and say I don't longer work here.
At all. Yeah, but you know, companies, they'll let you go tomorrow. But there's this expectation that you would treat them right or something. I got a friend of mine, he's dealing with that right now. Right, where it's like they gave him some warning, but even that is weird. Like, there's this weird, it's a weird, you probably understand this way better than even me, but it's like, what's the sweet spot, right? When do I say, hey, employee, we're looking to switch gears? And so the work that you're doing is going to be it's not really needed anymore. We had this executive team meeting, and we decided last night that what you're doing, we just don't need anymore. Right. So we're going to be nice and give you another month, 2 months, 3 months. Now it's like, well, at some point there's this window where if I'm telling you your work is obsolete, what is that person doing for a period of time?
You just say, here's 3 months pay. I don't want to see you again. Right.
That's what you're saying. Yeah. And it's do I string it out and just keep paying you every 2 weeks? No, I just give you a lump sum. Tell you thank you for your services. Right. That's always tough. It's tough. But I think in those cases, at least you're trying to do right by the person.
So which one you want to try next?
Oh, okay. We still going. Let me try that Rebecca Creek. I never even heard of that. Yeah. Texas, huh?
So what's your take on this? This is my opinion, right? So my point of view, 80% of people like this. You pay them, they're gonna pay $30 an hour. Their attitude is, I'm only gonna pay $30 an hour. I'm only gonna do $30 worth of work. I'm only gonna do this, nothing more, nothing less. That's all I'm doing. The other 20% of people, they're like, oh, well, I got paid $30 an hour. I need to provide at least $6 of value to the company. I need to prove them I'm worth this, right?
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Think the number's too high, too low?
I don't think the number matters.
Okay.
I think it depends who you are as a person. Because the truth is, for me, I won't say the truth. My truth is, if I take on a job, a task, I feel like my name is attached to it, and I want it to.
So many people don't believe that, don't like it,
I know.
unfortunately.
I know. There are some things that you do, and you're like, I'm not getting paid enough for this, right? Whatever that this is, right? Now you've decided in your head, I'm not getting enough for these things that I'm doing. Sometimes we do that to ourselves too, right? We take on all these tasks, and then when we step back, we look like, oh, I'm doing all this stuff. Well, you volunteered for a lot of those things, right? Hoping that maybe somebody will see all the things you're doing and say, oh, let me bless you with more money, right? That's good luck with that. But I think the person who's like, I'm only getting paid $30, I'm only going to give you $30 worth of work. You can't pay that person enough.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because they're always going to be
point,
like,
I've never thought about
I'm only getting $50. You know,
I'm only getting $100.
Yeah, I'm only getting $1,000 an hour. I'm only, you know, it's so there's I believe there's a group of folks out there that overvalue themselves. And I know that sounds crazy. You know, that sounds pretty negative. I don't mean to be negative about it, but it's a misunderstanding, misconception of the tasks and the duties, and then who they are as a person, right? I'm paying for tasks to be done, or I'm paying for your thoughts and problem solving skills, right? So I place a value on it based on what I can afford as a business, right? So you might say, man, I run all your switchboards. I do, you know, I set up your mics. I should be getting that right now. Folks are getting $100,000 an hour to do that, right? And I'm doing it for 80. I should be, okay, we can have that conversation, right? There's always room to negotiate and have a conversation. But if you take the approach of, well, they're getting 100,000, I'm only getting 80, so I'm not going to do as much as, well, some of it is maybe that business can only give what they can give, right? So you got to make a decision. If you really believe you should be getting paid this, then you may have to leave, right? And go find that. Your hope is when you get that $80,000 person that they're giving you $250,000 worth of work, right? Because they have a sense of value, a sense of pride in the work that they do. I believe in that because I believe that's going to take you much farther in life. Okay. Yes, you need money. I get it. We all need money. But the question, the way you phrased it is, to me, it's more about the mentality of the person. Yeah. Right. And now it gets back to what we were talking about of managing adults and humans, right? Because to me, I immediately get this visceral response because I can almost visualize what that person is and what I have to deal with and manage, because they really feel in some way they're being underpaid or undervalued, right? And in my head, it's like, nah, and you're not as great as you think you are usually either, right?
And then are you comparing yourself to the right thing, right? Like I one time I had a friend was complaining that she was getting overpaid. Like, what do you compare yourself to? She worked at a nonprofit, I think, in Little Rock, Arkansas, right? Mm-hmm. She compared herself to someone doing the same job at Amazon.
You're right.
Like, let me break it down to you, right?
It ain't saying.
It's not even apples or oranges.
It's not even.
It's like fruit to
and steak,
meat. Yeah,
yeah. They're not. And are you in the same city? Or are you different city? Like, it's not
nonprofit, profit, revenue as a company. It's so many things, different things. So
I am an executive director for a nonprofit. Yeah, I would love to make 250,000. Mm-hmm. I'd be the only one working there, and I'd be serving about 4 or 5 young men, right? Like, sure, I can look and say, okay, what are other executive directors making? Yeah, there's going to be some that are, $250,000, if not more in certain. But I also don't have a almost $1 trillion portfolio, right? So it's really thinking about it from a space of what makes sense. Like we were talking earlier, you got young people who want to get a social science degree and make $80,000. Why? Because you heard the computer science kid who got out was starting at 75, 80, 90,000. Well, yeah, they're going to work for that world where they're printing money over there. Computer sciences right now is basically they don't know what to do with money. They're rolling around in this thing, right? They're trying to figure out how to where do I push it around, right? Social sciences, we're on the corner in the tents with the folks asking for money next to them. Like we're trying to figure out who's giving money.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't have, outside of the services we offer, I don't have a tangible product that I can then turn around. I'm not selling you a shoe. Right. And then you tell me, oh, it's hurting my feet. Okay, I can adjust the shoe, sell it. I have more colors. I can flood the market with it. Right. It's a different kind of business. That I'm not saying, when I went into this, I did want to change the conversation around nonprofits, because nonprofits are businesses.
Oh yeah,
they are. Sometimes we forget
just
that,
the tax structure
right?
is different, right?
It's right.
That's the only thing.
That's the only thing. And then how you generate income, right? But it's still a business. And so I wanted to, we're still small. I don't think I've shifted the world yet, but, change the narrative around a nonprofit. It is a business, but depending on the nonprofit, depending on who the financial backers are, like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they pay their employees well. It's the richest man in the world. Like, or it's a battle every other year. Like, who was that? Yeah, come on. Like, they probably don't even have to fundraise. No. This guy, he it's like, okay, instead of giving it to the government, I want to do my own special projects. I put it in a foundation. It's a tax write-off. Cool. Well, damn. Okay, I made 800 billion this year. I got to put like 5 billion into this thing just to make it look like. That's not the world I live in, right? That's not the world most nonprofits live in. That's a whole different world.
Yeah, you got to fundraise, basically. Hey, they say beg for money, basically like a beg for money, probably,
In a way, that's what it is. Yeah. In a way, that's what it is. It took me a long time, though, to accept that. And I don't know if it was a pride thing or what it was. Again, this is a lesson learned working for Mesa, because they're a nonprofit, right? Even though they're housed at the University of Washington, still a nonprofit. And so what I learned was this: there's folks out there who have money. We do happen to live in a wealthy state, a wealthy city. I mean, it just is, right? There's a lot of tech money here. There's a lot of Starbucks money here. There's Boeing money. There's a lot of people with money.
Trident Seafood's money.
Yes.
People don't forget that Trident Seafood is like $1 billion fish company up in Ballard.
Yes. Like just the whole locks and everything down there in general, right? Like Seattle is uniquely positioned. Yeah. However it happened, I don't know, something in the rain, something out here. We got Amazon, Starbucks, Microsoft. There's a list of.
You bring a good point. If someone would have said all these multi-billion dollars companies were replaced with the sun only shines like 2 days a year, they'd be like, get the hell out of here.
Who's doing that?
Yeah.
No one's signing up for that. Right? But then you look up and it's like a port city.
Yeah.
Right? You've got Boeing. You've got a lot of the major players that are global businesses, right? I'm not saying, of course, there's others, right? I'm not, but there's a significant in this small little town.
We have like iconic,
it's kind of crazy.
Worldwide corporations. Everyone in the world knows Starbucks. Everyone in the world knows Amazon, Microsoft, Boeing.
Like those four by themselves. Like those are world changer companies.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of people here. The point of my story, there's a lot of people with money around here.
Yeah.
And so what you end up happening is it's not begging as much as it's connecting. I don't want to say it's connecting the two wants together.
Yeah.
Right. So Cavness HR is now $1 billion company, right? You at some point have to decide, do I want all of that going to Uncle Sam, or do I want to have, my heart is in, I don't know, cats.
Yeah.
I love cats.
Yeah.
And I just want to be able, I'm finally in a position where I
want cats to live forever.
Forever. Right. What do I have to do? Who's helping cats? Anybody in here helping cats?
Let me pay these scientists $1 million an hour.
And so you got to be bold enough to raise your hand and say, I'm helping cats. Right. So we're linking up because you don't have the knowledge base to do whatever to their DNA to help them live forever. But this person who's been studying it for 25 years does. But they don't have no money. They broke. Right. You say, I can give you the financial backing to do the research you need to do. Just go do your research and then report to me annually. And so that's how I learned. Yeah, it's begging is tough. And that's how I looked at it.
Yeah.
Right. But it's really connecting the two wants, right? The two needs. Like you might really want to impact the community that you grew up in or your old high school. We were talking about, do people give back to their colleges? Right. Well, some of these colleges around here, the way they are because a lot of these folks went to these colleges. And they're like, well, here's $10 million, but just put my name on the building.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, it becomes some of that where there's a whole industry. There's a whole career field designed for people to ask wealthy people to give money to these things. My wife does it. This is what she does.
Skill set.
It is absolutely a skill set to say, what do you want, Jason? You love animals. I got a nonprofit over here that works with animals. I just need to connect you to their executive director. Y'all go have lunch. You can talk. And then I'm gonna set it up. And by the time you leave lunch, you're going to be like, this is the greatest organization ever. I'm cutting checks. Right. And that's the business of nonprofit. It's not so much in the tangible thing per se, but we make an impact, but I can't make an impact without you. Right. And you agree in the way I do my impact and who or what I'm focused on. I just need you to help me because I need to hire more staff or we need to build a bigger building or whatever it is, right? Because it's still a business. I still have to pay taxes. I still have to pay employees. I still pay rent. We still need paper for the copy machine and ink, right? Like all of these things, none of that changes.
You can't say I'm a nonprofit.
Just on everything. No, some people give you a little 10% discount, but they still need their money because they're a business too, right? And so it's one of those things where if we looked at nonprofit a little bit differently, it might change some things. Right. It's almost like education in a way, right? Where people do a lot of work and they're underpaid. But some of that is what it is. And so if I got into the business of social work, if I thought I was going to be a millionaire, I'm tripping.
Yeah.
I'm just, not
unless you do some crooked illegal shit.
Or I stumble across the key. I figured it out.
Yeah.
I figured out how to get folks out of poverty. I figured out how to make the cat live forever, right? And then I can sell that.
Yeah.
So that then becomes the for-profit side of nonprofits, right? So in our space, let's say I was to figure out how to really help, because we work with young men of color, in particular Black males. So how do we transition and get all young Black men to complete their algebra by 9th grade? Because failing algebra, not completing algebra by 9th grade, you have a 50% higher rate of not completing high school overall, right? But guess what? ACEs figured it out. Well, okay, I can sell that. I can put together that little package, the curriculum, and I can go from state to state, city to city, county to county. I can say, this is it. Here's the master plan. You do this, these young men will improve, right? But unfortunately, in social work, it's not really a magic pill or some kind of thing always that you can sell like that. Now there are things. People sell books, people sell curriculum, people sell, there is a for-profit kind of mentality sometimes in nonprofit space of selling an idea and having people pay for the idea. But for the most part, it's services. Do you believe in my services? Do you value my services? And are you willing to pay so we can continue these services? And then every now and then I'll put your name on a program or something. And, when I stand up in front of everybody, I say, well, thank you to Cabinet HR for sponsoring this, I don't know, event. You know what I mean?
So let's talk about human challenge for a minute, right? So going to the beginning of time, man, created fire. We figured out how to do wheels.
Mm-hmm.
We figured out how to ride horses, printing press, sail ships, recently fly planes,
Mm-hmm.
AI, whatever. Do you think, obviously tech, I'm kind of fire stuff as tech, right? Obviously tech has advanced so greatly and is advancing more and more every go,
Mm-hmm.
like talking about going to Mars and stuff. Do you think human challenges are kept at the pace, or is a human back in year 20,000 BC as smart as a person now? Has human challenge actually improved, or is this a tech piece?
I think that's an interesting question. I don't think intelligence. So it's different. So I think smart is relative. You can be smart, HR 1,000 times better than I do. So you can speak HR, and I'll be like, damn, this dude's hella smart, right? But there might be something that I know that you're like, I don't know anything about that. But in my head, it's like, oh, this guy's dumb. If I just met you, like, this guy doesn't know shit. He doesn't know anything. What the hell is he doing, right? I think intelligence, though, I don't think intelligence has improved. I think we've always been intelligent. I think intelligence to me is like science, meaning your intelligence shows itself relative to the tools you have available. Science is as good as the tools you have to use. The human now probably was the human before. We just only had access to rocks and stones. And then once we were able to fix those rocks and stones into things, we were able to elevate our game to something else and something else, right? Doesn't mean we were dumb because or non-intelligent because we didn't speak language like we do now. We had a different, we might have been grunting or something. I don't know, right? But that's still language, right? So I think we just have better tools now. It's almost like when you look at old movies and you try to compare them to the movies now, or you have your
The
kids.
special effects and stuff.
Yeah, right. You can see the string sometimes
Yeah.
on the Star Trek.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then you try and have your kids sit down and you're like, oh no, you're gonna love this movie.
The kids look you side eye
You're like, you used to watch this? What is this? You were scared of this guy with a glove on and some
you don't see the string, Dad?
Like, come on, this dude doesn't even look burnt. Like, he wouldn't be like that. How come his shirt isn't burnt? Like, this dude is crazy. And it's like, I think we have, it's fascinating that you asked me this because my grandma passed some years ago. Both my grandmothers lived to be in their 90s. And my grandmother, my mother's side, was born, ironically, 1914. And I never really asked her specifically. I wanted to, I didn't. It's one of those things you look back. But can you imagine how things have changed for her?
Yeah.
Right? You grow up with horse and buggy.
No electricity, probably.
Right?
No indoor
dirt
plumbing.
Roads. That's the norm.
And people don't realize like electricity has only been around 100 years.
And not just electricity, but electricity for
the masses,
for consumption. Right?
150 years ago, people were like, yeah.
It was a foolish man's idea to think that they could have a light on every street corner, that you can flip a switch.
Yeah.
It was whale oil, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean those folks did. So my interpretation on that is it doesn't mean those folks weren't intelligent. They just didn't have the tools.
I mean, like the Romans built the aqueducts that took water everywhere,
Yeah.
There's so much
if you
things
look
in the
at
past where people did like amazing things that we can't replicate.
You get me into like, okay, so not a conspiracy theorist kind of person, but I watch my alien shows and stuff, right? And so you start looking at like the Egyptian pyramids, the Aztec pyramid, like all these things, and you ask yourself, how?
Yeah.
Right. So here we are in 2023. And that's fine. We don't have to believe in aliens on this. I know that's not what this format is, but right. But how? Because there's a level of intelligence that we don't have.
Yeah.
to be able to do and build those things in the way that they built them to do what they do, right? So when the light hits them, it does certain things that you and I couldn't do that. If we wanted to do that today, we couldn't go to the beach and build it. We can barely build a little beach.
Yeah, I know there's a theory out there, talking about conspiracy theory, like when there's a library in Alexandria, had like all the war's information back in the day burned down, on all the information got lost. I've heard that before,
Yeah.
But like, I've never been there. The pyramid, like I've heard like stones like 1,000 of tons each one, right?
Yeah.
And even had like 1,000 men. Like, how did
you do it?
Yeah.
Because and so some of the conversations, like even with today's tools, right? Today's machinery, it would be a challenge. And not only just a challenge, but the way some of these things are placed, the precision that some of these things are placed. How? And so some knowledge was lost.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Or the aliens helped us out.
Well, whatever it is, right? So somewhere we lost the information right now. But it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, I think we've always been intelligent creatures. We can talk religion or not, but it is why us and not other creatures.
Yeah.
How did we get the lucky straw? Depending on how you look at intelligence, like sharks and dolphins have a much larger brain capacity than we do, but they're not building roads, and at least that we know. Maybe there's some way down in the ocean somewhere, but they're not. It's fascinating to me. I get lost in my head with some of this stuff sometimes, right? Like, why is it that we constantly have to change or improve our living conditions?
Oh yeah. Always have to get better.
Why aren't we doing the same thing? Bees have been doing the same thing that they've done for 1,000 years, but we figure like
we have to find new eventually.
We gotta change it. We gotta
ain't no dolphin trying to go to Mars.
No, I can't.
As far as I know,
as far as we know, right? But I can't just have a microphone. I gotta improve the microphone, right? And so to your point with the tech, it's funny. So one of the guys who helped invent and create the iPhone, he recently had a TED talk. I don't know if you've seen this. Where he now has created this AI that basically is like a little button thing. Right. So you no longer need a phone or anything. You don't need these things. You can just open up. It's like something off the movies. He just opened his hand, and on his hand had like the time and if someone called.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was coming, but it was projecting off. He had a little thing in his pocket, right? But it was his thing is like, AI should be something that we just talk to, that we interact with it. You get so used to it, you don't even know you have it, right? It's just a thing. Now, I guess we haven't seen all the movies. There's movies out there like this. I don't know what's wrong with these folks. There is a debate that's going on, like, do we need to slow down with AI?
Yeah.
So kind of to your question is, are we intelligent enough to actually understand artificial intelligence in a way that we would be able to control it and it doesn't control us?
I heard someone joking somewhere like, when Skynet comes, we know Sam Altman from Opening Eyes, they got to go put in jail,
Right.
Started it.
But I think, what Skynet is, it's already here.
Yeah, it is.
Honestly, if you think about what that concept is, right? We all have a phone.
Yeah.
At this point, unless you're a child under the age of like 10, and maybe even some parents still get, you got a phone or you got an iPad.
Someone
You've got
down
a thing.
everything you've done, every place you've been,
Yeah.
Maybe even if your phone's on private, whatever, people, there's
there
a
is
way
no
to do
private,
it.
right?
Privacy's gone.
There is, it's done. We sold that.
Yeah.
It's wild.
We sold for convenience.
If you think about the crazies, right? Folks that we would deem crazy, like in the 70s and 80s, that was like, oh, Big Brother's watching. We're gonna sell ourselves, and it's like, what is wrong with these people? Shut up. That's not here we are 2023. And you can put a chip in your arm.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
right.
They do it like a country. There's a company in Denmark or Norway that does it, right?
Yeah.
You hire the company, get a chip, and it's like
that's it.
Everything runs off the chip.
Yeah, I mean, it's here, right? All the things the crazies were yelling back then that we were looking at like something's wrong.
Damn, y'all were right.
Some of it has come to reality, right? And Big Brother is watching us.
Yeah.
We got in our house, we got phones everywhere, but we also got Alexa everywhere, right? Alexa's always on. So unless you then become a tech expert, right? You're just a consumer. You're a user of these things. So you don't really understand them. And they're not built like how things were built when we were younger. You can't just like this laptop that you have, your Mac, but you can't just take it apart.
No.
Like if you crack that joker open, it's done.
I've lost my money.
It's done.
Oh, back in the day, you could change the oil in your car.
You could do all
You
the
better
things.
not try to
I
damn
could put a
change oil in
new
your car.
tube in my TV. If my tube blew out,
Not no more.
not no more. You remember there used to be TV repair guys?
Mhm.
That's not a thing. I don't,
No.
where are you taking this? If this cracks or does something, where do you? I gotta get a new one.
Yeah.
We don't know how things work anymore, and
No.
things aren't built for the consumer to actually do that.
No.
I can't. And I learned this when I got I think it was like, it started with my 95 Chevy Blazer, but it was like some car I got like in 99. It was like a little Kia or something, right? And it was like something basic needed to be done.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I know enough about cars that I can at least do the little thing. You crack it open, it's like, wait a minute. Oh, this is a wire. This isn't, I got to take this thing in because it has to connect to some computer
Yeah.
to do the analysis. It's like, oh, we're moving. I can't even work on my car anymore. No. Right? You can still change your oil, but that's starting to change.
Yeah.
Right. And we're getting to a space where they're building these things that you're really going to separate the consumer from the creator. Right. And now we're just going to use the things and not figure out how they work and not understand them. And that, to my point, is going to get to a point where if you're building this artificial intelligence and I don't know enough about technology to it's going to manage me.
Yeah.
Right. When I'm at home and I say something, Alexa pops on, I don't know how to turn it off. I don't know how to keep Alexa from hearing everything. And so she's always listening.
Yeah.
Always. Because if I say Alexa and it comes on, then just like your thing, right?
Even better example, watching that TV show Getting Shy, though now the father was like, Alexa, play Earth, Wind, Fire. Or Alexa popped on, started playing Earth, Wind, Fire.
Like it's about to.
Yep.
So it's always listening.
Alexa, stop.
Right. Then you got to tell this stuff.
Yep.
And it didn't hear you. It did anyway. But that's the thing, right? That's a real thing.
Alexa, stop.
Yeah. And so
but it's powerful enough to kiss me off the TV, not even in person, but off the TV.
On TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do? We said, I need this thing in my house.
Oh, yeah. You got to have it.
But why?
I want to order toothpaste.
Yeah, right.
I got to, I want to listen to some music. I want to do this.
Yes. Have you ever, this goes back a little bit, but Microsoft used to have the House of the Future. Did you ever go visit? Okay.
I remember that.
So we used to take students there like 10, 15 years ago. It was advanced then. I don't know. I haven't been since. I'm sure they updated. But it's like we would take students there and they had this house on campus, right? Not a huge house, but a house. But the whole thing was just a smart house before smart homes were a thing, right? And you would literally like the countertop, you can touch the countertop and a screen would come up and then you would say, I don't know, whatever. I want to make chocolate cake. And then it'll give you all the ingredients. And then it'll talk to the fridge and say, do you have the ingredients in the fridge to make it? Or do you need to go to the store and buy something, right? So there was this whole house of just technology. And it was exciting, it's cool, right? But then it was like, this is interesting because how much of our freedom are we giving up for convenience? And does it even matter anymore? I used to, and I still do, I still shred papers, right? We grew up in that, gosh, shredders was gonna crawl through our garbage can and find our information, right? So we're still paranoid that there's someone walking around our neighborhood
diving in dumpsters
in your neighborhood
and piecing together our trash.
Right. But in reality, they're somewhere in Cancun or something, and they're just pulling our information.
Some satellite up in the sky, zooming down on us, probably to see infrared through walls and stuff,
Because why? Because we love convenience. Yeah. I would rather go on Amazon because they've got Prime Days. What am I giving you? I'm giving you everything. I'm giving you my address. I'm giving you my credit card information just so I can do the click one buy, right? So I don't have to do 3 extra steps. I'm gonna do this one, and then I'm gonna save my card on there because Yeah. Why not? It's Amazon.
Yeah, I trust them.
Yeah, they're Amazon.
No one can ever hack Amazon.
No, it's Amazon. I know what they don't need my money. They're $1 trillion company. What they want my little $2,000 in the bank for, right? It's gotten so bad that even banks, you remember back in the day, if you lost some money, someone frauded you, there was a 20-step process to prove that it wasn't you.
Yeah.
Now it's like you can just call your credit company and say, I didn't do this charge. You sure this wasn't you? This wasn't me. Okay, we'll give you money. Because it's so prevalent that it's not even worth them going through a process to fight it, because they're just, everyone is like, you know what? It's a free-for-all out here. And some of this is just technology and the average person's understanding of it, right? And so I think, to get back to your question, I don't think our intelligence has changed or improved. Some of them might disagree. And
there's always geniuses like Da Vinci,
those are,
Einstein,
the rare cats, right? But I think we just got better tools now, and so we can express and represent our level of intelligence differently. We can explore things differently. We have the equipment now. We can go find black matter. Before it was like this theory. Now we can say no, because we actually have these tubes. I can show you that it's a real thing, right? So
did you see where they found the sound of the universe?
Yeah,
that's fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
Right there.
Now the crazy thing. So okay, you get me, and I get into these weird worlds, right?
I can talk aliens out of space all day long.
Oh, that's me, baby. You got to understand Hinduism also, and monks. So when we talk about,
so we can talk about this on one more quick question.
Go ahead. You about to give me.
So let's suppose language. No, language doesn't matter. Like, everyone can understand everyone, right?
Okay.
Someone from 2023 goes to year 223 BC.
Okay.
And someone from that era comes here.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to be more successful? Who's going to have the easier time acclimating, so to speak?
I think the person who comes from this time and goes to the past will have a better chance acclimating, only because historical content and knowledge. Now, if they don't know anything, that's different. And what I mean by that is, us now, we have a reference point of how things work. Right. So if I go back to that time, I at least have some knowledge base of that time existing and how things worked at that time. So I can understand. I'm not going to be a computer science engineer, but I can, make wheels for wagons or something, right? I can have and then I have the knowledge base to know we can actually, there's rubber somewhere we can, right? Now I'll struggle with like my comforts. Right? Where are they using the bathroom at? In this hole over here? Really? We gotta y'all don't wash hands or nothing? Like, this is just how we do it? And I gotta wait, there's no restaurant. So there's going to be certain comforts of life where it's like, oh man, this is how we
I would have said the person from now to then would struggle, right? Because the creature comfort, right?
That's gonna be the struggle.
I think with the struggle, right?
I think the person from then now, though, it's going to be such
information
shock.
overload.
Yeah. Where do you start? Where do I
is flying?
Everything. What are these buildings? We got stuff flying, right? I don't even have to go hunt and gather. There's a store. Okay, how do I? What is this money thing? Like, now, there's a whole culture shift of just how you live in general.
Now, if someone like Attila the Hun or one of the Caesars, I think they totally can't control the situation. Maybe rule the world right now.
Yeah, I think
but average person,
I think there's a subset of historical figures who would have, no matter what, always been. Yeah. I believe that. I believe it's kind of what you were asking me before about the person who with the $30 that's like, I'm not getting paid enough. I think there are some people, regardless of time, there's a dog in them that just exists.
Attila the Hun is ruling the world,
and they ain't gonna figure it out. It's kind of like, how people like to have this debate about athletes and this person who played and stuff, I don't think it matters. I think if you were a goon back then, you'll be one now, because you're gonna do what it takes to be that best person, right? There's a drive within certain people.
You see the dog in them.
Yeah, that we're basing it off of, athletes now are quicker, faster, stronger because they have access to better nutrition, better athletics. The shoes are better. Like
Larry Bird never fucking worked out.
Come on.
Probably eat cheeseburgers and fries every day.
Now imagine if he had access to what they have access to now, he would be still Larry Bird. He'd be, Jordan would still be Jordan. He'd just be different, right? So I think that's how I would look at it. I would look at it if I went back, my knowledge base now. I have
I never thought about it from a point of view, knowledge base. Yeah.
I
always thought about being like, where it's kind of soft
though.
Oh man. But then again, like,
clothes, what are we wearing? What is this? How do I?
Yeah, but human beings tend to survive everywhere. You can survive in the desert, the water. You get acclimated to stuff. It's gonna suck for a little bit, but you get used to it.
I think that's the gift and the curse of the human. That's the gift and the curse of the human. When you think about like global warming, if we want to believe it do exist or not, I think if you're being honest with yourself, you can see some things are changing.
Yeah,
something is changing. And what we've done as humans is we've adapted.
Yeah,
we've adapted, and there's a good to that, right? You're able to weather storms that other creatures faltered and are no longer here. The bad to it, in my opinion, is you take that for granted, and you almost think, no matter what happens, nuclear fallout is cool. Some of us are gonna make it. Zombie apocalypse, we watch a show, it's like, oh, there's zombies, but some of us are gonna make it. It's good.
Russia nukes Ukraine. It's no big deal. Just one nuclear bomb.
Yeah, what's that? It's nothing. It's tough for them, but we'll be all right. You know.
So until the shit comes over here.
Right. So I think, humans, if nothing else, they're resilient.
Yeah.
Man, if you think about, I think about my people and the transatlantic slave trade, and we can debate how Black Americans are now and the struggles and whatnot. But if you think about what a group of people had to go through,
over hundreds of years,
to even be where we are now, that's a testament to human resilience, right? It really is. Because they could all quit, they could all, we're not doing this shit, and kill themselves or something, right? But instead they said, it sucks, but I have a purpose here on this planet to continue my being by reproducing, and then we keep it going. But then you deal and you adjust, and so I think humans in general are resilient people.
I agree.
We figure things out. It's unfortunate so often we battle each other and want to get rid of each other.
What's the thing? Man's inhumanity to man or something like that?
What's that?
And man's inhumanity to other humans, like concentration camps, the shit that happened in Serbia, the shit China's doing to Muslim people.
It's not to get religious, right? But sometimes I think about, there are certain things we put on ourselves, meaning who are humans? What are humans? And if you believe in Christianity, there were 4 people on the planet at one point. Now we can debate that. I don't know about that either, but let's say there were the 4 people: Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel. Cain killed Abel. First murder on the books. Ain't but 4 people on the planet, and we can't even get
off the bat. We're fucking up.
And that's your own blood.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we don't do anything, there's something in us.
Like ingrained, whatever, genetics or something.
I don't know what it is, that war, killing of our brothers, fighting is for whatever reason, it is part of our DNA. It's been in us forever. How we mistreat each other, how we mistreat the planet and animals. The intelligence that you spoke of, at times it's questionable, right? Because we do things despite ourselves that really don't even make sense. Really, it's just why? I love seafood as much as the next person, but damn, do we have to fish that much? Like, do we need, do you need that many boats out there with that big of a net every day? Like, at some point, it's just simple math. You're gonna run out.
Like, dude, the fish are not fucking that much.
Dude,
the fish are not reproducing that much.
Come on, man. And if they are, you're stopping the action, bro. Like you're not helping the situation with this, man. And then we put our arms up and we wonder why. But it gets back to our convenience because guess what? When I go down the hill to the waterfront and I go to the restaurant,
I better
have my salmon.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes if we just think about it practically, like it's wild how we have become as a people that not only does every restaurant need to have what I want it to have, but we have hundreds of thousands of restaurants.
Yep.
There's an expectation that if I go somewhere, there will be a restaurant that serves whatever.
And make it worse, like, okay, it is kind of reasonable to want, like, like crab legs in Seattle, right? But
fair.
It's crazy to have expectation of fresh crab legs in Denver, Colorado.
Should you have that? Arizona.
Yeah. Utah.
Should we
Kansas.
have
fresh crab legs in Kansas?
Really? Like, and how dare you not? Right.
Yeah.
And then being somebody that's, from next to the water is like, you sure you want that? Like,
exactly right. Yeah.
I don't know if you want to go to Vegas and order.
Or can you imagine, like, going to like Dallas, Texas,
Dallas,
Texas, ordering sushi?
Right. Like, you might want to think about this, but this might not be the best idea for you. But we do it, right? And we expect it. And when we go travel, especially as Americans, we go travel, we have an expectation.
Yep.
Right.
I'm an American. We saved your country in World War II 100 years ago. We're still living off that.
We saved you
100 years ago.
Yeah.
No, your granddaddy saved us.
Yeah.
Not you.
Yeah.
So back to, Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Cain kills Abel. Cain gets sent over to the land, marries some people. Where the fuck these people come from?
Here we go. See, now you.
Where the fuck these people come from?
I knew I shouldn't even went down here. I knew I should not.
Where did these people come from? Are they like random aliens? Like, did another guy create them? Like, what do you think?
Well, okay. All right. What's gonna get me kicked out of the church? So I grew up Baptist.
Yeah, I grew up Roman Catholic.
Okay. Unfortunately, in religion, as a child, you're often taught to not ask questions.
Yeah. Trust and faith.
Just read the book and trust.
Yeah.
Right. And you're taught to not ask questions because if we ask questions, if we're gonna be honest, the shit don't make sense. It does not make sense. Right. And then it depends of whom you speak to. Right. So the Jews, in their belief, it was Adam and another woman. Right. A woman was, so there was 50-50. It's this idea of like 50-50. Woman was tripping. Adam was by himself. God said, damn, you look lonely, bro. Let me send you a helpmate. This time, though, I'm going to make her come from you so that she now belongs to you. Right? Well, she's tripping. She ate the apple. Right? Now we got kids. One kid killed another kid because he was jealous. Where did jealousy come from? I don't know. It killed
So I stopped real fast, right? I just thought this question right. Why did they have two boys? Why not a boy and a girl?
Two boys.
You think a boy and a girl?
Two boys, and then they had a third boy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, they have a third.
They had none but dudes.
Yeah,
right. How you reproduce?
I guess Eve getting it in.
Or
incest is a must back then.
Or we get LGBTQ on us in here. I don't know, but they had nothing but dudes. Then you kill your brother. You're ostracized. Get out of here. We're gonna put a mark on you. Right. You leave. There's this whole group of people.
Yeah.
Right now, depending where you believe, some folks believe those were fallen angels.
Okay, I've heard that before.
Some people say that. Some people might argue that the Adam was created in the image, but there were other creatures created.
Yeah.
Right. But again, even in that, it's we're filling in blanks because the book don't say that. Right, your King James version of the Bible that a lot of us grew up reading doesn't say that. It just says the dude got kicked out, ran into some lady at the well.
Yeah,
and then she took him home to meet all these other people, and then they had children that then birthed nations. Yeah. Right, so 7 nations were born from. And as a child, I said. Raised my hand and said, who are these people, man? Where they come? Don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's irrelevant.
That's not okay.
That's not important to the story.
So what we end up doing is we only look at the relevancy of the story as it tells the story we want it to tell.
Yeah.
Right. We don't want to get into the nuances of things, because the nuance of things we don't understand. It doesn't make sense. But I believe there is information out there. It's just when you start getting in the space of religion, then you have to deal with back to what we're talking about, people, right? And so why is there a King James version? Well, there's a story that folks wanted to tell and perpetuate, that probably states something. If we show where these other people come from, or that truth, then we can no longer maintain the power and control, because it's a different story, right? If there was another woman that was created with Adam, that gives women power that we don't want to have. So in this book that we create, we want the men to have all the power. So we remove most of the women, right? As if women didn't exist. So the only women that we share are a handful of women, 2 Marys, and then a couple of other wives, right? But somehow all these men just begot sons with no women involved. But what we know about the world is women are very powerful, right? And women have a lot of influence in how things move and function. But there is a way in which society or this world has wanted to position men as the most powerful. And in doing so, we must tell their story. And we remove the woman's story so that we don't show them with any power.
And one of the Marys was a prostitute, right?
Well, so
which makes it worse.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Right. Some people argue no, and some people will say yes. And then we have to start asking ourselves how we feel about prostitution. If Jesus himself, let's say she was, right? Let's go down that road.
But Jesus was good with her. So
Jesus was like, I'm rocking with this one. Right now, all of us want to be like, well, we want this holier than thou woman, right? We're gonna kick it with the other ones, but to marry the holier than thou. Jesus is like, nah, she's gonna put oil on my feet, wipe my feet, and y'all ain't really checking for me.
Yeah.
But here, this woman is humbling herself.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're gonna kick it. We're gonna rock it together. And let's say she was a prostitute. What does that say about what our values are?
Yeah.
And how we treat people. And
you shouldn't treat people in titles when you think about them, right?
And what we deem to be of value or of importance, right? So if you sell your body for money, you're somehow this evil, negative, devalued human.
Instead of being like maybe you're a great business person, maybe your body's worth that much money, right?
Maybe, look, come on, we all selling our body. Now, if I show up to work, I'm doing a task for you, paying me, I'm doing something. Right. We have valued sex in a way that it's this forbidden thing. Right. And that kind of gets back to some people believe sex was the forbidden fruit. Right. That these people women in particular, we never worry about the men as if men don't sell their bodies for sex, but it's the women. And if you sell your body, you're this filth of the earth. Right. Now, Jesus said, no, she's not. Not only is she not. Now, this gets into, if you believe in Dead Sea Scrolls or other things, right? Like, was Mary actually the wife? Did she actually become the wife, or was she at the same level as the other disciples, right? Because she was around.
Yeah.
And when he died and came back, first people he visited, Mary and Mary.
Yeah. Wasn't the disciple.
Didn't go see the other 12, but he's like, I'm gonna go rock with them first, right? I'm gonna see my lady. I'm gonna see my mom, and then I'm gonna see my lady.
Yep.
Right, like most of us would do. We in love. We're gonna go see our lady first. So it's just a fascinating thing when you start getting into that religious space. I'm religious. I am. I fought it. This gets back to our college conversation. During my time in college, I wondered why. Right. I grew up a certain way, and I only did that because my mom, right? She made me go to church. And it's like, all right.
I mean, that's the biggest indicator of religion, right? Where your parents' religion and where you're born at is the biggest indicator of what religion can be.
That's it.
Like there's not many Jewish people living in like Saudi Arabia.
No. And their parents weren't Jewish.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe they was there for work. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And so your place of birth and whom you're born to is 90% of the religion you choose or not choose, right? And so, I grew up Baptist, And college, I was like, I don't really feel like going to church. I don't have to anymore because mom's not waking me up and making me go. Right. But at that point, it was like, let me really do some digging to see, do I really even believe this thing is real? Or is this just some stories in a book that we all seem to
If nothing else, the
follow?
Bible's the greatest story ever told.
If nothing else,
it's the greatest story ever told.
it is what did Wu-Tang say? Basic instructions before leaving Earth. It is guidelines on how we can be better people while we're here. Right? Like if you look at if we base it on what Jesus was teaching us, it's basically just do good by your fellow man.
Yeah. So two things. One thing is like I always have questions about like in the Bible, God will only talk to one person. Either the Moses or the prophet.
He didn't have a bunch of people at a time.
Yeah, it wasn't like he's in the skies talking to all the earth at one time.
Yeah, one cat at a time.
So one cat at a time, right?
Uh-huh.
And the second one is so when the Bible says God doesn't change, right?
Yeah.
Well, the God in the Old Testament was had the Jews killing away from motherfuckers. The New Testament, he forgives for everything.
Yes.
So how are you saying?
I don't think it means you're different.
No,
I don't think it means you're different.
Okay.
I think it means you have children.
Yeah.
You have children? Okay.
Yeah.
How you punish and treat your children change over time. And so if I send a helpmate or I send my son, in the case God sent Jesus, right? And the idea was, I'm fed up with these folks. I'm finna just wipe everybody out. Well, I'm done. This is my last chance.
Yeah.
All right. You go figure it out. If they can't love you and figure it out, then they're finished. All right. Send them down. He's like, yeah, they're wild down here, but I think we can work with them. Right. Just give me a chance. And he became our voice, right? So you speak to God through him.
Yeah.
And he left us with the Holy Ghost, which is the Trinity, as I believe. And so I think there's spaces for, it doesn't mean God has changed. It just means he does things differently.
Okay.
Right. His response to us is different. Maybe you could look at this as change or growth. I don't know, but it might be like, well, having, floods didn't work. This thing is like,
I destroyed some of the garage that didn't work.
Yeah, it is what it is. Let's just let these people do what they do. And I'm done killing them off or doing this thing.
Yeah.
And,
people don't realize that's like in the Bible, God kills more people than anyone else in the Bible.
If people were only honest with themselves, the Bible, someone had said that there was a debate around, like, what's going on with like taking books out of school.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so somebody was, telling them this story, like, would you take a book out that had incest in it, that had murder, that had child pornography and death, and should that be in the schools?
I know you're going with this.
And the lady was like, hell no, that should be out of the school. Right. So she's a very religious.
Yeah.
Right. That should be out of school. So, they bring up all these other things, right? Like evil and all and Satan and all these things. Should that be? No, that should be. He's like, I agree. We should take the Bible out of the school.
Yeah.
She's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. He's like, yeah, that's what you said. Because the Bible is full of violence.
I know another example, the guy did the same thing. And he asked this lady, this is a lady, like, I'm gonna read some passage from the Quran to you and tell me what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's the Bible, right? And like, no, I don't want to hear that. I'm sorry, I lied. It's the Bible,
It's the same thing. And I think if folks, so this is part of my learning, growing as I did my own self-learning. These religions ain't that different. No,
not. I had a guy on here last week, Dr. Yusuf Abdeli. He's a Muslim. We're talking about how Muslim and, in Muslim, Islam, Jewish, and Christianity is the same thing, right? Like Muslims,
it's the same thing.
They don't believe Jesus is God. They believe he's the prophet.
Yeah. That's it. Muslims, when
Muslims, you don't eat pork, and stuff like that.
But neither did we.
Yeah.
So again, if we understand the Old Testament,
yeah,
Quran,
you're right. Yeah.
It's the same thing. How you treat women when they're on their cycle, it's in the Bible. It's the same thing. They just haven't had the New Testament. The New Testament only
in the Old Testament, if you touch fixing, you get stoned to death.
It's the same thing. It's the laws of Moses.
Yeah.
The Islam follows basically the laws of Moses. When Muhammad went to the mountain and heard the voice, it's the same story.
Same story. Yeah.
These stories have come out of people who were struggling, right? And they wanted a savior.
Yeah.
And the people screamed for, we want a savior like the Catholics and the Jews. We want this, we want what they got popping off. We're looking for that. So my guy goes to the mountains. How many stories are in the Bible about folks going to a mountain? It's the same.
Go on the mountain, 40 days and 40 nights.
And then you come back with something.
Yeah.
Right. You either glowing or you got a tablet or something's happening, right? You got something going on. And you create these laws.
I gotta say, dude, it took you 40 days to do a tablet.
What was going on up there, bro?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. So then you have these laws. If we are being honest as Christians, Catholics, Jews, the Old Testament, Moses's laws are the same laws that folks who understand Islam.
Yeah,
it's
they
the
are.
Same stuff. There might be some nuances and some twists, but it's really the same thing. We just had this messenger. We had Jesus. And we said, oh no, this is the child of God. We believed he was the child of God. They said, I think it's your child of God. We're waiting for ours. That's literally how they look at it. They said, okay, that might be, but he's not ours. Yeah. The Jews also said he's not ours. He hasn't come yet. The Messiah hasn't come yet. Right? We're saying, no, that was the dude. And y'all killed him. So you can't say it's him because it'll look bad. But we believe that's him. And we believe our access to God, to heaven, is through him. The Islamic folks they're just waiting for theirs. Yeah. That's all.
I think a lot of people get confused. I think a lot of people think that Jesus said you could eat pork, eat seafood, or whatever. It wasn't him. In the Bible, it says Paul had a dream where angels said, it's not what comes out. It's not what you about what comes out of your mouth, right? Mm-hmm. So Paul's really one who said, okay, you eat pork and seafood. It wasn't Jesus. I think people get that mixed up.
Yeah. So it's the idea. So there is, oh man, when they're laying down the laws of Moses, I forget. I know the Bible well enough to maybe be troublesome. But it speaks to, at that moment, like what animals you can or cannot eat.
Yeah,
right?
like
so
they can't. Something about the hooves. They
like
can't split the hooves. The fish, seafood has to have scales.
Yep. And so you take that, and it's like, okay. And then to your point, later down the line, it was like, nah, just pray over it, bless it. And, I'm more concerned.
I mean, God created it, right? So we can't eat it.
Yeah, and there may be some things that you probably shouldn't, but I don't eat pork, but I just think it's a nasty animal. But to each their own. Like, bless it, pray over it, and move forward. But yeah, there's certain things. It's just I don't know what it is, and I think that's what I struggle with. Yes, I'm still Baptist, if you ask me. I don't go to church as much. I struggle with church as a whole. Like I struggle with it, man. What I think church should be, it is not. Yeah, and to me, this is
so many crooked preachers, and
I can't deal with that.
I mean, if you're a preacher, of course you get paid, but if you're rolling through the hood with a fucking
I don't
20-inch, real Cadillac with a fur coat on.
Come on, man. I work in nonprofit. Church is a nonprofit. You do a job, you should get paid for it. Should you be humble? Okay, whatever. You should get paid for it. But I feel like if you're a shepherd, take care of your sheep.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be rolling around or living a lifestyle and anybody in your congregation is hungry.
Yeah. If you have a private jet,
nobody should be hungry.
And you're fucking begging for donations to pay for gas.
I'm not with that. Everybody, there should be a minimal baseline of life comfort. Yeah. Before I get to a helicopter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because that ain't necessary, bro. The $2,000 Gucci loafers. Come on, man. And you got a lady who, and I still believe, I don't care, like she still should do her 10%. I understand that, right? But that ain't how the church we run, and we know that. They give me your 10 and I'm gonna keep asking. It's the pastor and first lady anniversary of our anniversary of our anniversary, right? Our firstborn was born. So we need, I get, like, I've been in, I love my people. Jason, I do. I love my people, but sometimes in these black churches, I'll be sitting down. It's like, how many times are we asking for this plate, man? This is ridiculous. This is so again, when we get into what's Bible, what's not Bible, right? There's tithing and there's offering.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tithing is a set, this is what you do, right? Based on your fruits, you give of your best, right? At this time, you do it, right? We've equated that to you give 10% of your income, right? 10% of your value. Then the offering is you should give your best, however you feel.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're taking that to a whole extreme. It's like we're gonna do 3 offerings today, 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then it's tithing on top. Come on, man. And you know what community you're in. You know the people that you work.
People,
so
probably on food stamps, welfare, really make ends meet. You know
what are we doing here? So now you get into a conversation where you get into a complex situation where you've got churches are heavy women. The women go to church. The men in my community, black men, they do it. You know, it's whatever, right? But it's like, wait a second. The challenge now is like, I'm trying to run my household, but my wife is giving a bunch of money to this place I don't even go to,
and we get no return from
the zero.
Money. I have no idea where this money's going to.
Yeah,
the church ain't been redone. Still the same raggedy
Come
furniture.
on, now you're talking about the building fund. That's a whole different conversation. There's a 30-year building fund, and the doorknob is still falling out. You know, there's no AC in this joker. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah, and I think that conversation by itself has broken up a lot of happy homes because it's why is there so much going to this building? Sure, now it's money and time because you're giving a lot of time, right?
And it asks for a building fund, but then it asks for volunteer builders to build the building.
They don't, right? And then so this is where I get frustrated with church is in my community, 9 times out of 10, the church is in the worst part of the community. And there's 18 of them. Why the community still like this?
Yeah. Why you need 18 churches?
Why you need so the church I went to growing up was in the Central District. There was 5 churches within a 2-block radius.
Yeah, especially in the South. In the South, there's church every block in the South, pretty much, you know, or close to it.
And the South is wild.
Yeah.
Right? Or there's one little one in everybody because there's a little town.
Like in South, you will not say out loud you don't believe in God.
Oh,
hell no.
Oh, but you can live a lifestyle like you don't.
Oh, yeah.
Just show up on Sunday. That's all.
That's it.
That's it. And again, that's what I'm saying. That's where church for me, and religion is fine. I believe.
People need to believe in
power. I do, man. I do. But it's the physical space that we go in. It just seems so pompous to me, man, and so hypocritical, and so I don't know. It's a struggle that sometimes when you feel like internally you're not supposed to be.
Yeah,
that's how I be feeling sometimes, man. Like I'm in the challenge though, where I struggle with this, and you have kids, is how do you raise your children?
Yeah,
right. Because I tapped out of church. Well, so did my wife. She's Catholic. And so what happens is we not going, our kids ain't going, they're not volunteering. They're not like, oh, I'm gonna wake up on Sunday and go. Now my mom will take them sometimes because she still goes, right? But they grow up in a very not that we aren't a believing household, right? But we're not a practicing on that level, right? So I almost wonder sometimes, am I doing harm or am I not giving them?
So here's one for you. So I remember hearing this one place where there's these missionaries or whatever, they're converting people to Jesus, right? So talk to this guy, and, if you believe in Jesus Christ, you'll go to heaven. We talk about Jesus. If you don't believe in Jesus, you go to hell. So the guy said, so you're telling me I've never met you? I never knew about Jesus. I will go to heaven by default?
Yep.
Yes. Why the fuck you telling me about Jesus then? You should just left me alone.
Well, no. So my understanding then is it doesn't. So ignorance is not bliss in this.
Yeah.
Right? So the way I was taught was it doesn't matter if you know or not.
I was taught it was like, if you know, if you don't know, you're good. As soon as you hear the word Jesus, you better believe it. You're going to
know.
But if you don't know, you're golden.
Then
Like
you're
the guy was
good.
like, why the fuck you telling me?
Then don't say nothing. Then yeah, okay. I was taught different. But there's a particular verse that they use, which is when the rich man is trying to pay his way.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Right. And God is like, no, all you have to do is believe in me, believe in your heart, confess with your mouth that I am the Son of God, right? And you will have life ever after.
Do you ever watch?
Probably botching that, but it's essentially that, right? Yeah. Now, my take on that's how I grew up. And so what I was always taught was, if they don't believe in Jesus, doesn't even matter, because Catholics, it's a weird thing with Jesus. There's a weird kind of relationship there, right? But if you don't believe in that and you don't say those words, you don't confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus died and rose, then you won't go. Right? You're going to hell. Like, that's it. There is no, like, that's step one. You got to at least do that. And then all these other things is, how did you live your life? And then we'll figure it out later. But if you don't do that, then everybody's going. And I used to be like, so all Muslims are going? Yeah. All Jews, and again, I was so even as a young dude, I was in yours, where it's like, but their religion is based on where they're like, I'm only here because I was born to this woman. And then like all mass murderers get to go to heaven as long as they believe in Jesus. As long as you with your last breath. And they base that off of the thief, right? So the thief, that's the three crosses. If you do you confess your sins to me? I do. Well, you are now.
Do you ever watch Wild 'N Out with Nick Cannon?
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen the new. It's on year 20. You know,
season 20. It can't be year 20. Maybe season 20.
Season 20. I know sometimes seasons will be in a year.
Skit on the one time a while ago I saw, where it was like the skit was like white church or black church, right? Mm-hmm. So the people doing the white church, they're like, we start on time, man. And then the people in the black church, like, they were like snoring because the white church is so fucking boring. And the white church like, we're finished, wake up, we're finished, wake up. Yeah, we're finished. Man, my homegirl, she was a Zeta, and she started becoming more into religion, right? And so she struggled a lot with being in a sorority, trying to find her religion and everything. And she went to this church in Renton. It's a white church in Renton. Now, I grew up black church. Like, my whole church is black. So my experience is, you start at, depending which one. So we would do 8 o'clock, because 8 o'clock, you pretty much have to get out by 10, because then there's Sunday school. Yeah. And then there's 11 o'clock service. That's smart. Right. So you go to 11 o'clock service. Ain't no challenge. Listen, it could be 4 o'clock before you leave. And I'm not even exaggerating. It could be 4 o'clock before you get up out that place, right? And you mess around in Seattle, most places don't have air conditioning. So it's fine during the winter or something, but summertime, and it's like 80, and you've been sitting, and you're sitting, I'm a child, I'm sitting in this pew for 5 hours. Oh, it's murder. You might as well just, And so that's, then you would have like the children's service or something, but then you're just downstairs for 5 hours. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. Now you grow up thinking, okay, you don't want to, if the spirit is moving, you let it move. Right. And it's like, who are you to say that the spirit needs to stop? And it's like, yeah, you're right. I guess it's moving. But then as you get older, you start to realize, like, some of the same things keep happening every Sunday at certain times. Yeah. It's like, I don't feel like spirit. That feels like a play. Like, we're watching a play now. Then I went, this was the first white church I ever went to. So my homegirl, Zeta, she was like, just come to my church. And I was like, this was in my part of my life. I was like, I don't know. I'm not really going to church, but I'll go with you because I'm, I guess I'm trying to be your friend. So I go, man, this thing was about 45 minutes long. I'm still waiting for like the person to run up and down the aisle and the music to start playing and the pastor to start preaching in harmony and all this stuff. So I'm sitting there waiting, and then it was like 45, maybe an hour. Yeah. Right. Started on time, ended in an hour. You're like, I'm not used to this. I said, I can still watch football. Like, this is crazy. Here's a funny story. So I grew up in the black side of Odessa, Texas. Okay. And so I would go to church with my friends every once in a while, right? And so we were at church at one time. I think I'm in my 20s then. And so this lady was supposed to sing one song, right? Oh. And then like, everyone like, man, this lady we can't sing right. This lady like sung like 8, going on song 9, right? And I heard this kid behind me like, when is he gonna stop singing? No. And then the mother said, the father said, well, be quiet. she's blessed with a voice. That's not a blessing. That's a curse.
Yeah.
And he said shit out loud too. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's the old church ladies too.
Yep.
Oh, and you can't tell them nothing, man. Yeah, I think the only other, it wasn't it was Catholic church. So my grandma, heavy Catholic.
Yeah.
I don't know how my mom is Christian and not Catholic, like heavy. She's Cuban, and so heavy Catholic.
Yeah, most Hispanic cultures are
heavy,
Catholic,
heavy.
Yeah.
And so I remember going to Catholic. So when I went to Michigan and we would go to church, I would go to Catholic church. And again, the only difference, so what I didn't recognize, and I still don't really know how to function in a Catholic church too much. It's like the kneeling and the getting up and the kneeling,
you gotta say the words and stuff.
And then everybody knows all the words, everything. It's like, how does everybody know this?
You're fake mouthing them.
Yes, I am. I'm like, everybody knows
this dude's gonna get some crackers and the blood of Jesus. I follow you,
Oh, so crazy story. This lady had passed, unfortunately, right? But she was Catholic. And so I went to the service. Now, in the service, okay, there was the moment where he told everyone to get up. So I get up and then, stand at the end of the pew, and then the usher will direct you. I didn't realize it's like, so you're going to get the cracker and the wine, right? But when you do it at the funeral, I guess it's you only if you have been baptized in the Catholic. So you're only supposed, I didn't know that, bro. So I'm like, because in the Baptist church, anybody can go do it, right? We tend to do it on first Sunday. Anybody that's in there, you can come get your crack and your wine. Yeah. And sometimes they'll walk it, depending on the church, they'll walk it.
Catholic, you got to be, you had to do confession for your sin.
You had to have done all those things.
Because if you do, and you're like desecrating everything.
I didn't know that, man. And so I got about half.
So you going to hell?
And so I guess, but someone stopped me beforehand and was like, somebody I knew there that knew I wasn't. They was like, Caesar, get over here. I was like, what?
Dude, I know you did last night. You can't do that.
Yeah, it was like, you're not supposed to do it. I was like, what? Everybody's getting crackers. I want a cracker. He's like, no, this is. I was like, oh, okay. You guys are a little different. There's a little twist to it.
So this is associated one time, as some Catholic church, right? It's kind of funny, right? So everybody going up there, doing little wine. This little 8-year-old girl goes up there, she just chugs it all.
Oh, for real?
Chugs the whole thing. It's all gone. Yeah. Craziness.
So, and that's another difference. Like Catholic church does wine.
Yeah.
Now, some churches will do wine. Most of it's just grape juice for us, though. Right. So the first time I was at a Catholic church and I actually did the thing, I was like, it was like at my friend's wedding. I was like, oh, this is real wine. Yeah. Bro, it was grape juice. Like,
no grape juice.
No, and that's the one thing I guess I learned later in life. Catholics drink.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They get their drink on. And it's not frowned upon. My religion is frowned upon. Yeah. Like, they don't want you drinking. I'm like, well, Jesus turned water into wine. Like,
exactly right.
What are we doing in here? Like, we're not even following the thing. Excuse me real quick. I gotta pay for parking again. Get a ticket.
So now let's talk about aliens real fast.
Do it.
No, maybe back there first. So this is my thing, right? So to me, it's a conflict, right? Like, does God exist? Does the Bible real? Okay. Maybe it is, maybe not. But on the other hand, I refuse to believe that two random animals came together with the Big Bang to create everything.
Okay.
I can't believe that either, right? So it's like both have like logic to it. Most don't, like some two atoms out of nowhere magically appeared and banged together and the universe came out of it. I don't know about that one either, right?
Yeah, I think this is so it's tough for me because I like to think I have a science mind. So I told you I wanted to do electrical engineering. Yeah. So I think there's space for both, right? And I think both things can exist. Anywhere where science in the Big Bang Theory, for example, my struggle is, well, what happened before? Something had to then bang. Yeah. Right. So what existed before the bang? Yeah. If you tell me the bang just banged, well, science is going to say you're wrong.
Now you're saying God created the bang?
So something had to bang, right? Like if everything was in this little tight needle point, all the energy of everything was in this, well, what surrounded that? Yeah. Right. So to me, it still is this reciprocal conversation if you look at science, right, as the answer. I look at it this way, and this is kind of the conversation we're having. Like, it's a big ass universe, man.
Oh yeah.
Right. And just because God on this planet created us like this, another planet, he could have created big ass
Yeah.
ants. I don't know.
I mean,
you
James
know.
Webb discovers 1,000 galaxies every day or something crazy like that.
Yeah, why couldn't that be? One. Two, I really think about this a lot, bro. Like there's something uniquely different with human beings, as we were talking earlier, right? Every other creature that we know that still exists that has been around for a while has pretty much done the same thing.
Yeah. And no improvement, no.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Like a tiger now is the same as a tiger
Yeah,
1,000 years ago.
yeah. They hump and they come out, they
Yeah.
teach them what to do and they do it,
Yeah.
right? Their habits haven't
It's
changed.
called instinct. Yeah, instinct.
They-
It's about instinct.
Yeah. However, we got to fix mics. We need a better mic. We need a MacBook. But that MacBook from last year is, oh, we got a new MacBook, right? We need to create a currency system that is better than a barter system,
Yeah.
right? There is something
We need Bitcoin. We need crypto.
uniquely different
Better rocket.
about us. So let's say we want to talk about evolution, right? That's cool. I get it. I get the concept of it. I just struggle with the idea that we are the only creature to which evolved in a way
Yeah.
that we want to completely and on a regular basis improve and explore, right? I don't see fish doing it. I don't see dogs doing it. So I'm not one that's like, oh, well, what are we going to evolve to now? Like, why can we not fly? And why can we not have wings? Like, it's not that. I think it's, if you want me to believe that we're a derivative of an animal, then why are we so uniquely different than those animals? Now, we can say artificial intelligence. Then maybe we're alien design. Some will believe that at some point within our DNA, some point within the stretch of our design, there was a significant quick shift that science can't really articulate why this thing happened.
Yeah.
Why within our DNA structure, it's these two anomalies that don't exist anywhere and just kind of popped up, right? That really are the difference in us and apes and other primate type creatures, right?
So I'll just talk fast. So I'm gonna do something a little different, right?
Okay.
I have to go to the bathroom, right?
I'll do what you gotta do.
But what I'm gonna do is turn over to you. I'm gonna put the mic on you. I want you to talk about your nonprofit, how it got started.
Okay.
How nonprofit got started. We're focusing now with the future vision for your, like, just go geek out on your nonprofit.
Will do.
All right.
Okay. Do it now. All right. Thank you. Good conversation though. So ACE Academy, the Academy for Creating Excellence, was an idea between myself, Willie Seals, and Marcus Harden, probably 15 years ago. And really the idea spawned from us wanting to have an impact on Black males in our community. So we all were in the K-12 post-secondary space. We thought in our careers we would be able to have that impact in those spaces. And honestly, it just was more the same. So what was happening to youth when we were young is the same thing, the same outcomes for Black males, males of color. So we just wanted to do something. And so we started this organization called ACE Academy for Creating Excellence. And we've been rocking ever since. We actually started providing services in 2011, 2012, in a partnership with Goodwill, and we've grown ever since. We now have a staff of about 11. We provide services from middle school, beyond high school, and where our office is right on Rainier. We're next to Franklin High School, and it's exciting. And really our goal is to help build viable world citizens. And it's to work with young men so that they can really understand themselves, and understand the impact that they can and that they do have on their community. And then how do they work with each other as brothers? And so it's been a great ride. We've worked in, 6 different school districts. ton of different schools. We serve about 200 young men annually. We actually grown the organization to support adults. So we provide services to parents through our parent cafe, as well as an area that we're really excited, which is with Black educators through our Black Educator Institute. And so, yeah, we're really excited about the direction the organization is growing. And we're looking to continue to grow. We just started working on our 3-year plan with the idea that hopefully we'll have a resource center, so a building that's large enough to actually start providing more services in-house. So yeah, that's ACE in a nutshell. It's been good though. It's been a good run.
So we do a deep dive on ACE in a little bit.
Okay.
So back to aliens real fast.
Okay.
So not a lot of people don't, some people believe in aliens, some people don't, right?
Yeah.
And like a lot of people say, I want to meet aliens, right? Do we want to meet aliens, right? Do we really want to? The example was like, I think it was the Inca civilization, the Spanish came and pretty much wiping off the earth, right?
Yeah.
Isn't there a risk of aliens coming like way advanced of us and just like wiping us off?
I mean, that's the movie fear, right? And that's humans, because the way we function is we feel like someone who is not like me cannot live within my space.
Yeah.
So I must remove you. Could it happen? Sure. If they're coming from some other galaxy, their technology is beyond us.
They're going to wormholes and
so
they've mastered dark matter.
Yeah, we not rocking with them.
Yeah.
If they feel like it's time to get rid of us,
they're reading our minds.
Yeah, we done, right? But that's assuming that they think like we think.
Yeah.
Right. And that they don't think that there's space for more than one, right?
Yeah.
We watch a lot of movies, and in the movies, that's the invasion, right? They're gonna take our water, they're gonna take our whatever it is, right?
The Independence Day, War in the Worlds.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's part of it. That's a fear.
No, because like I said, we're human. We want to learn stuff. We want to be adventurous. We want to explore.
Now we're those next ones, right?
Yeah.
We're going to Mars.
Yeah.
We're to the moon. Been there. If it's true, we've been there. So at some point, though, at some point we are going to go to another planet.
Yeah.
It is going to happen. So we're going to be those aliens.
Now, if we come back, it's another story.
You hope that we've learned something, and meaning the point that you made, when our Spanish folks, when the French, when the Portuguese, a lot of the European countries, when they did their exploring and found land, right, their response was ownership.
Right? I claim this land in the name of the king or the queen,
and all that is
and I get all the glory and
everything,
the fame.
the people. And if y'all don't want me to claim you, we're going to get rid of you. Right. I would hope that this is going to be beyond our lifetime, but 100, 200 years from now, when we actually do really travel outside the galaxy, but we don't have that mentality. We're just going and trying to figure out how to fit in and learn from these other places, right? Because as we spoke earlier, some of the knowledge that these folks had have been lost. They've been lost because of the conqueror mentality, right? That
I'm from Spain, I'm better than you.
I'm better than you.
Maybe you did an Inca,
And if I see anything that is better than us, I got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because this can't be the truth that other people find out. Right?
Like me, I'm a firm believer that maybe not my kids, but my grandkids will be space travel. Like
I think so.
Maybe Mars, maybe not every day to Mars, but like I believe like on the Earth will be like there's be space tourism, right? Where you go from Seattle, go like 30 miles above the sky, and stay like some hill, right? And from your sky view, the Hilton Hotel, the sky, you see the Earth.
So you remember when we was younger, the space station was supposed to be for regular people to go up and stay. And then who knows? I don't know. Maybe the moon is the next stop, right? But that was a lot of the conversation. Like we were going to create this space station that held life. It wasn't just for astronauts. It would be for
regular people,
the average person or whatever that meant, right? Because now we're seeing rockets are flying, and the average person ain't getting in those. It's $1 million or whatever the cost is for that little 30-minute trip. But like all things, prices will come down. Yeah. It'll become a norm on some level.
It's like that TV was probably $10,000 back in the day. Yeah. I think about like $500.
It was crazy, right?
Yeah.
You remember when flat screens and they still had the fat back.
Yeah.
But yeah, now if they try to charge you $1,000, you're like, what the hell?
You know, probably 100 years from now, people are flying their own spaceship up somewhere. You know,
Absolutely. My wife sent me something today about, when we were young. I keep saying this when we were younger, but we were supposed to be flying. Our car was supposed to be flying by now, right?
Jets is supposed to be reality.
It's supposed to already have been a thing, but it's getting closer. I believe it's getting closer. Someone they announced that like the FAA is now starting to actually come up with what those laws and those rules and regulations. So even the fact that they're having that conversation means something is happening and it's getting closer. But yeah, I figured we'd have been.
Every time so JFK said we're going to the moon in 8 years, right?
Okay.
So went from nothing to the moon like 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
You would think by now we've been to Mars, right?
Yeah, that's where the conspiracy comes in, right? Did we ever really go?
Yeah, I know, right?
Like I don't know, man. You got me down all my rabbit holes.
And then like I heard a story where like we went to the moon like 68, 69, and I think it was Apollo 11, Apollo 13 had like like an accident or whatever. And the Apollo Nixon decided to cut the space program out because he didn't want risking American lives. Then went to the space shuttle. And you think about it, space shuttle has less tech than the moon, right? Because like you don't need the same tech for a rocket for around the Earth than you do the moon, right? Mm-hmm. So we actually went back in time, And I've seen the podcast for people. A lot of people don't realize this is more power than computer power than what we did in the moon, right? Had a guy on the podcast a year ago, Miguel Ayala. His company's a startup. They send like small cargo ships up to space with a satellite. He told me rocket tech hasn't improved since the 70s, right?
And why is that though? I don't know.
Conspiracy theories.
That's what I'm saying. Like I
know what it is. The aliens refuse to give us any more new tech.
Maybe
because they didn't like what we were doing.
Maybe y'all ain't ready yet. Y'all aren't ready yet. Now I do struggle with this. So I found it fascinating. I'm not saying we didn't go to the moon. Okay. I still don't understand how they were watching it on TV.
Yeah.
No one's ever really explained to me.
Yeah.
So if you think about what TV was in the 60s.
Yeah. I mean, was the camera already there?
I mean, how did they get the signal back?
I never thought about that. Yeah.
I don't know.
On the flip side, like if we did go to the moon, everyone kept the secret. There's no fucking way. There's no way everyone kept the secret.
No. Yeah, I don't know.
No way.
There's some things for me. It's just press. Like I remember growing up, man. We had 4 channels, and they shut off at midnight.
Yeah,
but you wanted me to believe that you can get a signal from space to my channel 4.
So how the camera get there?
I don't know, man. I don't know. There's
maybe the camera was on the spaceship or something,
But then still,
that's a good question. Yeah.
How did it get? Because there weren't, to my knowledge, TV satellites floating around the planet. TV was essentially a hardwire thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Or the antenna. So it had low level waves. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've never understood that.
My thing has always been like, there's no way every single person involved in the space conspiracy or the space fakeness, like someone had to tell the mother or tell the father or tell the kid.
Someone. Yes.
Yeah. There's like no way. Yeah. That's the only reason I don't think it was. That's the only reason I think it was real.
Yeah, I think it was real. I don't know. I just like maybe I don't know. It's just me.
It's like something doesn't make sense to you.
It's just everything doesn't add up, but it doesn't add up enough for me to be like, no, it was like some Hollywood thing and it was faked. No, but I just wonder, like, man, I remember that time of TV and I had to twist the little UV, the little UH thing.
Yeah, through the wires and stuff.
And keep the vertical lines from coming up. And you telling me it was enough technology to get a live image, a live enough image from this thing to Houston that got out, and I don't know.
Around the whole world.
The whole world. That was a struggle for me. Yeah, I was like, that seems kind of odd.
Like this, my STEM education doesn't add this up.
It's not factoring correctly to me. Like just the practical understanding of what TV was at the time. Forget the rockets and all that. The TV at the time, we were able to see this. And yet I still get blacked out from home games of, of my sports team. Like, what are we doing here? How the hell does
Oh
that work?
man, that's craziness. So Elon Musk is good. Let's say Elon Musk figures out how to go to Mars in like 2025.
Okay. Do you believe we're already in Mars?
In Mars, no.
You
Well,
don't, you don't think so?
as humans, no.
As humans.
I
I'm
mean,
talking about as
we
humans.
got like probes and stuff like that, like little
Right.
vehicles and stuff. Yeah, I believe that.
You don't believe there's like a secret team already there?
No,
All right.
I don't. But I think you do.
I don't know. I've heard that, you hear these things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope not.
Yeah. So Elon
I
Musk,
think you do.
Elon Musk representative calls you in 2025.
Okay.
CJ, you won the lottery.
Well, I must, but okay.
Whatever it is, right?
Whoever, I'm with
Someone from the United States, right?
you. Yeah.
We're going on Mars. We have a random seat. We need you to go.
No.
You're not going?
Hell no. Y'all can have this. I don't like roller coasters. I don't like heights. I'm the wrong guy to ask. Go ask somebody else.
Yeah.
By the time we get there, what am I do for you?
Yeah.
What's that trip? That's got to be a few years.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's like it's a 6-month trip.
I ain't doing
And
that
the way
for you.
the way the solar system goes, you can only do the trip every 18 months back
Right.
and forth. So it's a 2-year trip.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I think I love space, man. Like I said, I wanted to build robots and do
Do you
the
see
whole
you
thing.
look through the microscope?
I'm okay with that.
You look through the microscope
okay.
while the ship takes
I'm
off.
all right with that.
Like you go in person.
You can put my name on it and I can see like, oh look, Dancer helped build that. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm an earthling, man. I'm
How
gonna
about
stay
you're
here.
younger?
I'm gonna stay here.
25-year-old.
25-year-old me. I'd have thought about it.
Yeah.
I'd have thought about it.
My thing is like, I don't want to be ship number 1.
There you go.
Maybe ship 100.
Give me like, yeah.
Maybe ship 100. Not only that, ship 100, and we figure out how to travel through wormhole.
And I need to know.
Take from a 6-month.
I need to know what happened to the other 99.
Yeah.
Are they still alive over there, or
Or they changed it like mutant aliens.
are they right? Or is it and what was the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
I know you talk about. Oh shit.
What the hell was that movie?
Oh man, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right here too.
Yeah, that one guy did a remake of it.
And they remade it, yeah.
Yeah. He was doing to Mars. Yeah, I know what you're talking
But
about.
when they and then if they go outside, then they're both
brain bust. Yeah.
That's going. As soon as I get in the car, I'm gonna yell it outside. People think I'm crazy. Yeah.
So talk about this gala y'all are doing.
October 21st. So this will be our second gala. So we did the first one to kind of kick off our 10 years. So it's really our 10 years of service. We tried it. We hadn't done a gala before. And we were like, let's just do it.
So like a dress up tuxedo kind of thing.
So yeah. This year it's gonna be a masquerade ball. So asking folks to dress up and get their little masks on. And last year was a celebration of the organization. This year still is, but we're also doing more fundraising. So we're looking to really launch an annual campaign in this space to start fundraising more for our services.
So the purpose of gala is like get together, celebrate what you're doing, or is it more of like fundraiser or combination? Both. Okay.
It's both. We're gonna have a good time. It's to celebrate the young men, it's to celebrate the educated, celebrate the parents, to celebrate the work. But again, it gets back to, as a nonprofit, there's ways that we are able to fund what we do, and gala is one of them. And so we'll have a fundraiser. We're gonna have a live auction. We're gonna have silent auction. We're gonna have some other opportunities to actually donate and win awards and not awards, but prizes and things. And so one of my things, I've been to a lot of these things growing up, especially when you're in the social services. This seems to be a thing that happens a lot. And I said, if we're gonna do it, it can't be boring. It can't be just folks sitting and then a bunch of one speaker after the next. So we don't do that. It's a few speakers, a few like 1, 2, recognizing a couple people, and then get the music going, get the drinks flowing. Yeah. And let's just have a good time. Yeah. Right.
So it should be.
Yeah.
So y'all have a lot of partners, right? Like Jerk Shack, Lake Washington High School, Lululemon, Seattle Public Schools. What's the purpose of having partnerships, and what value you get out of it? And then how do you convince these people to partner with you?
I think it depends on the area of how area of impact. So the school districts, we have an in-school service model. So we'll work with schools to either do after school programming or in school program with their young men, right? And so we deem them as partners. And so it's a symbiotic relationship where they have a need as far as getting more men of color around their young men of color to support them. And then for us, it's being able to provide those services, but then also the financials, partnership backing. So that's your schools and your school district side. The cool thing with someone like Jerk Shack and other small businesses, so we're trying to launch, and this is the first year we're going to launch this intense. We haven't really even put the right language to it, but this real deep internship. And so each partner like Jerk Shack, Furtado and Associates, we're actually asking them to take on 1 to 2 of our young men to give them paid internships where they're not just doing mundane tasks, but they're actually learning and understanding the business side behind it. So for whatever period of time, if it's the summer or the year, that person that we partner with there is kind of a mentor to them, but it's really to show them the ins and outs of the business and give them an opportunity to actually work in the different kind of areas for that business, right? So with Jerk Shack, as an example, they're a restaurant, right? And so there's the service side of restaurant, right? There's the welcome. Do you have a reservation? May I seat you? There's the handing of the food, right? So a lot of times youth will get those kind of roles, right? But how did you start this business? How do you find food? Where do you get the food from? Like what goes into negotiating prices for catfish and whatever, right? And so understanding that, and so our role is to, and a lot of businesses have asked us for this. It's a good thing, but it's a sad thing too. They've asked us, can we identify young men for them because they don't really have a connection like that per se. And can we kind of vet the young men? So are there young men who are interested in owning their own business or owning a restaurant, right? Can we connect them to them? And then can we provide some financial support in that? The other challenge that we're having with some small businesses is they want to do it, but they can't really afford the intern, right? And so we've been fortunate enough to receive funding through the county to actually do this. So we have enough funding for about 30 interns. So we're just starting this partnership with them. There's like 2 or 3 other businesses that we're looking to do some of that. So it really depends. So, and it's interesting to ask this question.
And an internship is like basically business internship, could be marketing, like arts,
could be
whatever.
It could be whatever. We want it to be with a male of color so that they can connect on that level. That's important to us, but it really is also about exposure. And that it kind of gets into some of what we were talking about earlier with college, right? Like if I want to be I don't know, if I want to go into marketing, do I have to wait until I'm 22 to get an internship, or can I do it at 16 and then at least have a more informed decision of maybe this isn't what I want to do. Maybe I want to do something else, right? So that's that. But I think each of our partners, and it's interesting you asked that because as you grow as a nonprofit, how do you define what a partner is and what that looks like?
And are they good, or are they a good partner?
They good, bad, because it all looks a little different, right? A partner might be like the city of Seattle, Department of Education and Early Learning. We consider them a partner, but they fund a lot of what we do, right? So we wrote an application for a grant, we received the grant, right? So we consider them a partner. Other partners, maybe they're just donating or sponsoring something, right? So there's different ways, different levels of partnering. But yeah, I think a lot of it just depends on what is the area that the partner wants to support. Are we a good fit? Are we a good match? I mean, that's another thing I wanted to be really cognizant of. I didn't want to just chase any dollar. So being really clear on what we do, why we do. And then if you rock with that, well, cool, we can rock with you and figure out a way that it makes sense. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't.
So I'll probably get this numbers wrong. I think on your website, it says like the national average of Black male educators is like 7.3%. The state of Washington, like 1.2%. Can you talk about that discrepancy and what you're doing to fix it?
So we have what we call our Black Educator Institute. And it's actually it's under 2% nationwide as far as Black male educators. The 7.3 is Black educators overall. So that includes women, right? In Washington, it's like just above 1% or just below, depending on the year. It kind of varies every year. What our role in this is kind of really threefold now. One, it's getting folks interested in just going into the education field. So we have found through the way we deliver services, our model, especially in the summer, that it has started to spark interest in young 20-something-year-old males wanting to go into education. So we actually have 6, since we started our summer program about 7 years ago, we've had 6 participants go into the field of education, and they never thought about it before, right? So that's exciting for us. So one is just getting males interested, males of color, Black males interested in going into education as a career. That's one. 2 is providing a space for Black educators to convene, to have conversation, to share best practices. So there's not a lot of opportunity for Black educators to get together. And in a lot of spaces, you are one of maybe 2 in a building, if not in your district, right? So it's a isolating, lonely career choice for Black educators. And so providing a space where they can convene, and if nothing else, just be comfortable in their skin and in the career that they're in with each other, right? And then I would say the third part to that is the professional development mentoring that we look to provide. So helping educators stay in education. So most educators don't last beyond 2 or 3 years. So most of them leave after that. And then if you make it past that 2-3 mark, you probably stay until about 10 or 12 is kind of the next key mark. So if we can get a lot of our Black educators to stay beyond 2-3 years, we feel we've done something to help increase the number of Black educators in the K-12 space. And the purpose behind all of it is if you believe the research, which is if you at some point in your education, your K-12 career has had an educator that looks like you, you are more likely to graduate and even go on to college. The debate is like, what is that percentage? When, is it kindergarten? Is it 12th grade? Like what point in that process and how does that impact? But what is pretty clear is if you have had at least one, you have a greater chance of completing high school on time and going on to college.
From your point of view, how does ACE Academy, how is ACE Academy successful?
I think there's a few ways of looking at success with ACE. The way we've looked at success is returners. So how many young men come back, right? There's this old saying is you vote by your feet. And so if you show up and you continue to show up, then you must like what's going on. That's one. On-time graduation is an area that we said, okay, we've been around long enough now, we can start to see the fruits of our labor. Are these young men graduating high school on time? If they are, we would deem that as successful. Or are they going on to post-secondary opportunities? We would deem that as successful. So for the young men, the other thing that we've seen is as they've gotten older, they've come back to us to either help out as interns with our summer programs or just volunteer. So that speaks a lot. That speaks volumes to us that they felt welcomed enough, and if it met their need that when they have no ties, they don't have to. Their parents ain't telling them to do it. They still show up and they say, how can what you all did for me was needed. and I want to give back. How can I do that? And so when we see those situations happen, we believe that we're doing something right. And then, as I said earlier, in the education space, we've had about 6 young men who said, I want to be teachers now. And it's interesting you asked me that, because it was a young man today. He's a junior in high school, and we just had the conversation. He didn't know what he wanted. He wasn't thinking, but he's been our intern for the summer program. And this is week 3. And he's like, you know what? I think I might be interested in this. Right. And so knowing that currently 2 of our previous instructors and participants are currently in their teaching certificate program right now, and that was not their career goal, means a lot to us. We have another 2 of our instructors. One has completed their principal cert. Another one is working on his principal cert. Means a lot to us. So those are areas where we would deem success. And then there's the general, like when you look at, attendance and outcomes as far as improvement in social emotional skills and test scores and stuff like that. But to me, it's more about sometimes the non-tangibles. There's a 16-year-old coming back to you when they don't have to.
Of course, the follow-up question is how do y'all fail?
I think like any social service, but I'll speak to us specifically. We want to save all of them. And save, maybe that could be a trigger word for folks. We want to be here and be a help to all of them, and some of them, take the other path, right? So there are some A students who are currently incarcerated, right? And I look at that as, personally, I take that as I failed, because I didn't reach them, right? I didn't do enough to keep them from going down that path. Now, maybe 10 years later, whatever I said to them might be a seed and plant, like we talked earlier. Young men is not to the age of 25. We talking about 12-year-olds we're trying to reach. So maybe later in time, they'll be like, yeah, what you said makes sense now. I'm a man now, and it makes sense, right? But if you ask me, I think I try not to use the word fail, but that would be it. If there's a young man that we just didn't connect with, right? I think on the business side of it, as the executive director, I would look at fail if I have to close a door for any reason outside of I'm ready to move on, right? So if I can't afford to keep the lights on kind of thing, that to me would be failure, because I believe that's a lot of my responsibility. I also, fair or not fair, and this gets into the working with staff and adult conversation. Like, I want to have a business and an environment that staff love to work in. And if they don't, if they, I remember how I used to go home after work at some of my jobs, right? And I don't want my staff to be feeling that way. And if they are, then I feel like I failed in that area.
How do y'all recruit these young men to come take part of it? Like, is it kind of some outreach program, some kind of marketing program, word of mouth? How does that work?
All the above. So word of mouth is big. We go to schools to recruit. So if it's a middle school, like we have our middle school summer program going right now, we go to the local middle schools. We inform the students. We inform the counselors of what we have going on. We have a parent cafe. So it's our parent network. So we let the parents know different opportunities we have coming up. And then we have our website and social media. So we have, Instagram, you name it. We got it. I think TikTok's the only one we don't have. And so just getting the word out, and then through other nonprofit organizations that work with youth, letting them know what we have going on. So it's a all the above approach in how we go about getting students involved. Now, if it's an in-school service, then you have to be in that particular school. But
and you only in Seattle, right?
For the most part, I mean, we have in the past.
It's a certain neighborhood in Seattle, or Seattle in general?
Seattle in general.
Okay.
Seattle in general.
Does that count like Renton, Kent, or just Seattle?
So we used to be in Renton. When I say used to be, like there were a couple of schools in Renton that we provide services to. We actually, and you called out one of the partners, we're over in East Side, right? But most of our work is in the Southeast Seattle Central District area. Yeah. And we've really been thinking about it strategically, like, do we stay in that area or do we think about expanding? Right now, I want to stay in the area and grow what we have in that area. And then talk about expanding maybe 3-4 years down the road. But I still feel there's a lot of work and growth as an organization and course correcting as an organization we need to do before we think about like large expansion. Right?
So you ask people like, who's your perfect customer? So I guess the question would be like, who would be your perfect student? Like you're recruiting a student. Who's like your perfect student to bring on?
There's not a perfect student.
Okay.
There is a student who is willing to.
So grade predators, average, like economic demographic doesn't matter.
We don't look at that.
Okay. All right.
We don't look at that. It's really about male development is the conversations that we have, right? So the perfect student is someone who wants to be engaged in that space and is willing to do the work and wants to improve themselves in the community. The more common student is the one that their mom or dad made them come, right? And we're trying to convince them that they need this, they need these kind of conversations. That's the general student, right? Okay. You know, we talking about 12 to 18, 22, 24-year-olds. So they're just figuring out life. So
you might not track this, but do you find a difference between like mentality of students who like have become from a single parent home versus 2-parent home?
I think, and I'm gonna tread lightly with this, but I'm gonna keep it real. I think some of that's overblown.
Okay.
I do see the importance of having a male figure in young men's lives. Now, is that somebody that's in their life every day, or is that a coach? There is a difference with the young man who has a positive, I won't just say any man, but a positive male figure in their life on a regular basis. So the football coach that's in his life during the season is cool, but there is a difference. Now, I think where I say it's overblown is often when we think of single parents, we think of mother.
Yeah.
Right. There are single parents that are fathers raising their children. Right. And so it's not easy raising kids. I don't care if it's 2 parents, 10 parents. Like
2 parents,
struggle,
grandparents. Right? Yeah.
It's tough. I think my own personal thoughts are, can women raise men, young men? I think women can instill values. I think women can support the development of children and men. I think a boy needs a man in his life to help him understand what it means to be a man and help him find that for himself. In general, we as men and women have a different perspective on the world and how we go about addressing and solving problems. Neither good nor bad, it's just different.
Yeah.
Right. And it's hard for a boy who's trying to develop in a way, and this person who sees things totally different is trying to make them see it their way, right? It's just you're forcing 2 energies that don't necessarily understand each other.
Yeah, like I'll get blasted for this, but you know, I believe in the Friday parenting method, right? Where Angela Bassett sent Trey to live with Lawrence Fishburne at 13, 14, you know. But to me, the vice versa works the same way, you know.
Yes.
If Lawrence Fishburne was raising a daughter, he should have sent that dirt girl to live with Angela Bassett.
What do I know?
Yeah.
Right. The things I have a son and a daughter. And there's things about my daughter that are completely different from my son. Now they're 2 different humans. I'm sure if I had 2 boys, they'd be certain things that are different. But there's certain things that I'm just like, and we struggle with this as men with our women, right? Like we might think something ain't no big deal. And to them, they're like, what the hell is wrong with you? I can't believe you did this. Or, you know, so it's trying to understand that. Now imagine we are men, right? We're developed, I guess, in our ways versus young boys who are trying to figure out at the same time they're going through hormone change and emotions and just figuring out themselves in life, right? Now you have this perspective that they naturally don't understand trying to tell them how to do life.
Yeah.
It's two different forces. And I think that's why we often run into a challenge when we have a lot of these conversations, when it's a mother or a woman, a grandmother or aunt or someone that's raising a young man, because it really is two different perspectives. And they're not, it's just, I don't know. I didn't design it. I can't tell you why it is, but we just see things differently in a lot of ways. And so how do you raise someone to see things your way when you naturally see? So they, as they are developing, they're like, this shit don't make sense.
Yeah.
So now I don't know anybody that can make, so now I must be a weirdo, right? Because you don't make sense to me. Nobody over here makes sense to me. Nothing makes sense to me. The only thing that makes sense to me are these other 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds that are trying to figure out life too. So now we're going to hang together and do what 13-year-olds who are lost do, which is random shit in the streets. And so then we equate the single mother as this. It's just.
Yeah. So back to single mothers. Is there a difference? So is one better than the other? Like, suppose you have a single mother, right? No, and so it's a kid, it could be girl, male, whatever, or got a 13-year-old kid, right?
Okay.
Single mother, no male influence at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another family, 13-year-old kid, mother, but the father, for lack of better terms, is a piece of shit, right?
Okay.
Bad role model.
Yeah.
Which one is a better case?
Oh man. So I'm gonna give you the political answer. It's
Your first political answer of the day.
It's all individual, man. I hate the piece of shit dude. All right. But even the piece of shit dude can get a good nugget every now and then. You know what I'm saying? When the man is completely absent, I just still feel like the young man has no bearing.
So at least when the negative person's there, at least the kid can kind of have a reference of what not to do.
I can even be like, this dude's an asshole, and I'm not going to be like this guy. Right? My father was around. He was there. Wasn't the best dude growing up. You know what I mean? And so there's things I take away where I'm like, yeah, that's not what I'm going to do when I raise my kids. Right? But he was influential in the man that I am today. Right? So are there, and I've also seen single moms with no dude around raise the best young man. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that was my political, like, it's hard to just say, right? I think the numbers tell you in general, a young man who is raised with a single mother. Now don't believe, so the one thing don't believe is this idea of the young man who's raised with a single mother, they're more prone to go to jail. Like it's like some stat that's thrown around, it's like 66% higher rate. Now what the stat is about is they took a poll of people who were in prison. So they're already in prison. So how many of you that are in prison were from dual parent or single parent households, right? Versus the overall general.
So when those things, stats don't tell the truth, they don't lie to you.
So again, so you're talking to a numbers guy, right? Numbers. We like to say this thing: men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. Yeah. No, numbers can tell whatever story you want. 10%
of 100 is way different from 10% of 1,000.
It's way different, but I still say 10%.
Yeah.
Right. It's up to you then to ask the other question: what's the N? How many of these? Right. It's a tough question, man. I still believe in all my years doing this work, man. They need a man in their life, even if he's a piece of shit. I hate the piece of shit dude, right? As long as the piece of shit dude is not like
abusive or something like that,
physical abuse, right? But he's just a kind of an absent,
like he's unemployed all the time and just being drunk, whatever.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Can't keep a job.
Yeah, you actually, the funny thing about it, that guy, I don't know. It depends, but sometimes those boys turn out better because they're really like,
I don't want to be like that.
No, and they have a sense of responsibility, right? That they then like, I want to protect my mom, I want to protect my siblings, I want to look out for them because this guy's not, so I need to step up. So they tend to mature a little bit quicker.
So you and two other people started the ACE Academy, right?
Mhm.
Talk about this, right? So many startups or business or nonprofits fail because either they call them founders, business partners, we call them eventually break up and don't get along, right?
Oh
How
yeah.
do y'all get along? Like y'all do. Talk about your founder story, how y'all met, like how y'all do communicate, all that kind of stuff.
So you'll love this. One of my co-founders, I've known him since middle school. We did a program in middle school together. Another co-founder, that was Willie. The other co-founder, Marcus. He was at the UW together. He pledged Sigma. So all three of us are Sigmas. And so we all just said, hey, there's this thing that we're all in education.
No peer pressure.
No, we're all in education and nothing's changing for our young men, right? So we got to change something. And we decided to sit down, have some drinks, some food, and start building this thing out.
And when did it start again? Like,
so I would say our official, like we really started doing services.
I mean,
2011.
I mean, that's a
But
tough
you know
question,
how
right?
business is,
That's
right?
tough question.
Yeah.
People say when you start. Well, you ask my wife, I started, too long ago,
Was it when we had the first meeting
or first LLC or this or that?
when I
first
got
revenue?
my business license,
Yeah.
or and I'll get back to it real quick, but the feds have changed. There was a particular business number, business code they wanted.
Yeah, NCAC.
Yeah.
Either that or the DUNS number.
The dentist, the DUNS number. They changed the DUNS number to this new thing.
Yeah.
And so one of the questions is, when did you start? Right. And so you have to show proof of when you started. And I was like, well, there's a difference between, so again, you get in this work, like I'm not a businessman. I just got into work to help young dudes. And so we started doing the work before we had like a business license or anything like
that's
that.
how it usually works too.
And it's like, oh, we got to do this paperwork. So there's no paperwork that actually shows when we originally started. So it's funny you asked that. 2000, probably like 2008 when we first started having a conversation.
Okay.
So
this is when y'all's life worked for a little bit.
And then what happened is we just said, hey, we've been talking about it too long. Are we gonna do it or not?
Yeah.
And so 2011, we actually sat down and wrote it out.
Got your plan, figure shit out.
Yeah. So 2011, 12 is when we can say okay. And then Goodwill, actually, I was doing some side stuff for them. They asked if ACE could do work with their young men. We said, yeah. So that was our first actual gig. It's funny you mentioned what you mentioned though. We had that conversation. And I think because we known each other for so long, we're all frat brothers.
That's a big help.
It helps a little bit, right? Marcus was my roommate for years.
That could be a plus or minus.
It could be. So all of these can be pluses or minuses, right? Like there's some of those things, like, do you get in business with family and friends?
Yeah.
Right. And so it's almost like this handshake agreement that we had. If any of us feel like it's time, or we're not being respected, or there's some issues, let's just walk away from it. Because I would rather maintain the friendship than this organization. And you can't go to business with everybody.
No, you can't. No.
Right. It's like I told my son this, he's in college now. I said, you're gonna have some friends, but everybody can't be your roommate.
No.
Because everybody, you don't mesh with everybody on that level. You can't trust everybody on that level. And so
I know plenty of people I go have a beer with. I'd be damned if I would do business with you.
Come on.
And vice versa.
Yeah. Because
some people I do business with you, ain't no way I'm hanging out with you.
No way. You business.
Yeah.
You just business.
Yeah.
Right.
No way I'm hanging out with you.
Yeah. So we've been fortunate, and we haven't had
fortunate. Yeah.
any situations. We know several people.
The horror stores everywhere.
Stuff, and it's like they were friends from
the
day one.
Everywhere.
They hate each other, and it's over some money. Usually
some people ripping people off or stealing stuff, or especially startup world, like two friends go to business, we're split it 50-50. What's the you do?
Yeah.
Or they split 60-40. The guy with 40, I'm doing more work than you. I need more money.
Work than you. Why am I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do it without me. This is nothing. Yeah. I just talked to a homie of mine about that. He's in the music industry. I shouldn't put up quotes. He's doing music. but he partnered with this other guy.
That's funny. He does
I know, I
music.
shouldn't have done that.
That's funny as shit.
I hope you don't see this.
He's doing music.
I hope you don't
I
see
mean,
this.
you didn't say his name, so I
I
mean,
didn't.
he'll probably
But
know.
he'll know.
Yeah, he'll know. Know.
I take it back. I rescind
He's doing music.
it. Damn. But yeah, it was a situation. He partnered with this guy, right? And he kind of had the following. My friend had a lot of the following, but my guy could do the tech stuff, right? And so his friend could do the tech stuff, and his friend built the platform and whatnot. But then his friend kind of, once the platform was up, kind of dumped him and started rocking with other people, right? And so my friend is like, wait a second. So he's out here making money. My friend's getting nothing.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, wait, how did this?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be anything without. And so, they only talk to each other now. They were close.
Yeah.
Right? It's
so
sad.
I'm gonna miss you later. So after the podcast, I use like make video clips.
Okay.
I'll make a video clip of that right there.
Oh God.
I'll make a video clip of that and send it to you.
Don't do that, man.
So y'all do a lot of programs at your academy, right?
Yes.
You have a favorite one?
Our summer.
That like really like tugs your heart.
Our summer, the one that's running right now. And I think it's got my heart because this is our first. So this is year 7. And this was the program where we really were like, is the bullshit we talking about real or not? Right. So you can do after school programs. It's like an hour or 2 hours a day. Right. And so, you can have some heartfelt conversations and then go play some hoop or something, bring in the pizza. Right. You can do those things. Well, we got you for 4 weeks. And we built out a model that is around social emotional learning. That's around mental and physical wellness. That's around math and science, right? Are you going to improve in any of those areas? Is the nonsense that the 3 of us sat down because we think we're smarter than everybody in this space of supporting young men of color? Is it work, right? And so when I look back at the 7 years of this program and see the growth and see what we put in, like, to me, that's the one. That's the one. Second runner up is starting to be this Black educator piece. It's new. We just kind of we didn't stumble on it, but it's newer.
So y'all actually run a lot of programs underneath the umbrella of ACE.
Yeah.
What's on the website?
Yeah, that's something we're talking about. Like, is it time to start
consolidating, so to speak?
Yeah. Some of it is, natural growth of a business. You might try this, try that.
Yeah, you got to experiment.
Somebody got an idea. Hey,
go run with it.
And I had a dream last night, and we should be taking young men skydiving. All right, let's go do it then. Let's try it and see what happens. It's stuff like that. It's like, I'm always one for exploring. Like, I don't want to be stagnant, but I also don't want to be Cheesecake Factory and you got a menu of 100 different things. It's like, well, what do y'all actually do?
Yeah, what do you do well?
Yep.
And what's the age of these young men again that you focus on?
So our focus is between the age of 12 and we say 24.
Okay.
And the 20,
even that's a pretty big age, right?
It is. I mean,
it's a 13-year-old guy versus 24. That's vastly different.
It's vastly different. Now, the 24. So there's this term, I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. It's called opportunity youth. And what that is, it's basically young men who are between the age of 16 to 24 who are not in school.
Okay.
Right. So they basically out here running the streets. And so,
or the better term is the streets are running them.
Well, however you want to look at it, right? Seriously. So there's kind of this dual path where it's like middle school is kind of our start point. And then some of those students are going to just stay the regular course and go to high school and then go on with life. Some are going to, maybe drop out of high school or maybe not even make it to high school. And so we said there's a need to support those young men too, right? And so what does that look like? It's a different focus group and different services for that group, but that's where we get the 18 to 24. That group is the 16 to 24 group. And the other group kind of, after you're done with high school, then, we're thinking about, do we want to continue support beyond high school?
And what age do people take part in the internship?
So you got to be 16.
You have to be 16, okay.
Yeah. But I prefer you to be at least a junior or a senior.
In high school or college?
High school.
Okay.
High school. Yeah.
And like, suppose how do companies reach out to you and like, hey, I want to use some of your interns? Like, what's the process for that?
Right now,
I mean, I don't
no,
say
no.
that, I don't say they will use, but like,
Yeah, right now there isn't a real process. If I'm going to be completely honest
Okay.
with you, it's talk to me or Willie. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Give us a call.
So I guess the better question is, what does the company have to do to come to you and like prove to you that they deserve to
That's the other side.
have a chance to like work with your guy?
So right now, if I'm being really just transparent, the only companies we're working with are people that we know.
Okay.
Right. We haven't gone beyond.
I know you for charter engineering because he has a frat brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or somebody that even the jerk shack, the young man, or well, I still call him a young man, but he's a grown man now. He was a Sigma Beta.
Okay.
Right?
So what would happen
That's
to some random person off the, I'd say off the street, but some random business?
We'd have to
reach out
sit
to you
down
and, like,
and have a real conversation. What that conversation would look like, how that would go, we don't know yet. We've actually had this conversation though about like, okay, yeah, what if someone is like, I heard you guys are doing this thing, we want to get in.
Yeah.
What does that look like? So there's got to be some vetting.
I remember y'all did a post on somewhere on social media with the interns working for charter engineering, and they got a lot of likes and like reactions on LinkedIn, right? So I have to imagine. I mean, I'm surprised no one of those reactions and reach out to you is like, "Hey, tell me more of the program." You're right.
We do. It's not a lot though, but we do get the occasional, and I think that's our job, my job.
So you got definitely want to put in the right place, right situation to succeed.
It's got to make sense for everybody.
Yeah,
because everybody can't take an intern either.
And
even though
having an intern's hard work,
it is right. Even though I mean,
it's not babysitting; it was damn close to it.
Listen, it is a child. Who this might be their first job ever. Right.
And on your side, I'm pretty sure you don't want to like put someone in a position, even though they get paid, but they say, make my coffee, get my dry cleaning.
That's it.
That's fucking waste of time.
That's not what we're doing.
It doesn't matter how much money you pay someone.
That's not what we're life skills. Yes. Right. Exactly.
Like, how does the company prove to you they're not going to do that?
So we need to figure that out. We need to figure out like, what is our process for filtering companies to make sure that not only the young man, but that the business has the best possible outcome. And
I tell you, I work in startups a lot. A lot of startups like the jump at the chance, like have an intern, pay a little bit of money, right? But of course, you got to figure the shit out, right?
Yeah, and I think part of it is, for me, when I was working in the city of Seattle in the engineering department, I was an intern when I first started, right? So I think it was a long time ago, but I still have that perspective of like, they weren't really ready.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? There was a lot of me sitting around doing this. Like, okay, I finished this thing.
What's next?
What do you want me to do? And they're like, well,
because insurance is going to be like, no, jumping at, like, they want to go be motivated.
I don't want
to
sit here
themselves.
Right.
And of course, you want to pay intern, right? If you want to pay intern, right? But my argument has been like, suppose you have two scenarios, right? One scenario, you pay intern, we say $30 an hour. But all they do is making coffee, do a personal task, right? Another intern, and then not only that, the person in charge doesn't like really take networking events, doesn't really connect with anyone. Other side, you're not paying the intern, but like they're actually doing something, right? You give them a project to do, taking other network events. Hey, here's my LinkedIn, and like, what's one more valuable internship, right?
Yeah.
But of course, the argument was like, it's like, it's a privilege because the person who's rich or like with money can afford the non-paid one, or someone who needs the money is going to take the bullshit one, right? So this is all these arguments, right?
Absolutely.
So one more question, right? So let's suppose, break it down, right? Not color, race, anything, right? Suppose you have like upper class and lower class, right?
Okay.
Upper class, they're doing well, making money, a lot of jobs. And that upper class is a lot of jobs to give, right? Lower class, like they're struggling or whatever, right? Is it the responsibility of the upper class to go down here and bring these people up? And hey, lower class, come to this networking community, come to this stuff we're doing on, or responsibility of the lower class to find those opportunities?
Come on, Cabinets. Responsibility. Now you want me to get into the social construct debate. I think the responsibility of the haves, so your upper class, is to provide an opportunity and access for your lower class. I think that's their responsibility. I don't think their responsibility is to necessarily go down, and I hate these terms, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. If we do a visual, and there is a concept like, if reach back for your brother, right? I get that. But we talk about responsibility. It's a tough word. I think what you should do, yes, is reach back. I think you're responsible to not block the people who don't have from having an opportunity that you have. And you're responsible for giving them space to have that opportunity. That's my feeling. I think the challenge is, are we talking about a capitalistic space? Are we talking about, right? Because that plays a part in, unfortunately, some of the conversation. But if we just on the level, and here's this group of people got all the apples, and this group ain't got no apples. Let them get some. You may not have to give up your apples, but move to the side so they can get to the tree too, right? But we operate in a space of fear that we feel like there's not going to be any more apples. Like all of a sudden the tree is going to stop growing apples, so I can't let you have any. And then when the next one comes, I got to get it before you, right? We got to stop. There is a absence of race, and even like we had a whole conversation earlier about the businesses in this little city of ours, right? That are global businesses. There's enough resources.
Yeah, the pie is way big.
It's ridiculous. And I don't understand. I'm not even here to be you don't got to be a socialist or whatever the terms are, right? But this concept as if there's not enough to go around, when we know good and doggone well that there's a percentage, a very, very, very small percentage of people that have a lot of it, right? And it gets to a point where when is enough for you?
Yeah.
How many apples do you need? Like, I understand how society is structured. I understand how things work. You're not going to just zero out your account tomorrow because your heart tells you to. Like, I'm not asking that either, but it is a point where it's like, does one dude need $1 trillion?
Yeah, I definitely need a balance, right? Like on one hand, like there's so much tech networking going in Seattle, but it's always the same place, right? Like, can you do a couple events down in South Seattle once in a while, right?
What are we doing here?
But on the other hand, too, like I know so many people like, oh, I'm not gonna live in my neighborhood, right? Like you got to go somewhere to make shit happen, right?
Yeah, now that's the other thing.
You just can't stay in the same neighborhood, expect people to come help you out.
Yeah.
You gotta, you gotta get on a bus, we gotta go meet people, right?
Yeah. So there was a time in our old country, right, where you had to move to where the next opportunity was.
Yep.
And I think we are switching that philosophy, like somehow the opportunity is supposed to come to us, right?
Yeah.
Like you look at a place like Seattle and you can say it's too expensive to live here. Damn right, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Right. Then you're gonna have to move.
Yeah.
And when you grow up in a space, you feel like you almost entitled to live in that space your whole life. Well, no one promised you that.
Yeah.
Right. And even how I got here, I told you I was born in Michigan. My family moved from Michigan because it really wasn't nothing. Kalamazoo, Michigan, and Grand Rapids there's nothing there, man. There's like Kellogg's and a big, a big hospital. Like that's the work.
Yeah.
Right. So what are you doing? You leave or you stay in the rut that you're in. And then the flip side here, it's too expensive, right? There's a lot of opportunity here, but it's expensive to start out. So you have to ask yourself as a young person, am I willing to move somewhere and commute in?
Yeah.
Right. To then, or do I just say, hey, maybe this isn't it for me. Maybe I come back when I'm older and I'm more financially established and I go find something in Oregon or somewhere. I don't know where, but you know what I mean? Like move to where you can afford to start a life for yourself. But I don't know, we're in a weird space now where it's almost like you feel entitled to.
And this might be a good example. So I'm doing a pitch competition Tuesday, right? So I'm putting it on this lady named Karina. She's half Black, half Filipino. She's hosting it with the Washington Maritime Incubator. this guy named Byron Robinson. He's a black guy, U.S. Olympian. He's sponsored, right? And like Karina, she posted all the Black Chamber of Commerce, all these different things. I put everywhere. Of all the people applied to pitch on a black person applied, right?
Mhm.
The rest of them were like a white or Asian, right? So I'm like, man, like we're posted everywhere, right? Like
Yeah.
we only got one person.
I think, and I saw the post,
Yeah.
and I think some of it is ignorance.
Mhm.
And I blame.
And we got some pretty good prizes too. It's like
Yeah.
you're gonna pitch for some bullshit.
No,
Like,
it's real stuff.
yeah.
But I guess what I mean ignorance is we don't understand. I hate to say, okay, I hate to put us in a pocket like that, but there's a lot of times in how business, finance, some of these things work, that what I think people who are in it, the lingo that is used, the terms that is used, what happens is the assumption that it's shared knowledge and understanding.
Yeah.
Right. Or that what I have is of value to enter into that space. Right. Whereas people in other communities don't even care if it is of value or not. They just do it. Right. And so sometimes when we see things like that, right? Like Roxanne, if I don't have anything to pitch, I don't have a thing, you know what I mean? It's like, no, you do.
You do. Yeah.
You do. You have to be bold enough to say, maybe it's not exactly where you want it to be, and be okay with that. Right. But I do believe it's a dual space where folks in my community, I don't think completely understand what that kind of opportunity
Yeah.
thing
And
even means.
the thing is like, even when someone says I'm not ready, I'm not going to win, you're pitching in front of like 50, 60 people. I'm live streaming. Like,
Well,
who knows who you're going to,
that's the idea of the whole Shark Tank thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Like, okay, so they're from that world. They knew enough of this. Like, we're going to start a show because people always come to us with ideas. They want to pitch ideas. Right. And some of these ideas are half baked.
Yeah.
Some of it is on a napkin or something. Right. I think sometimes when you're from a particular struggle, a particular community, it's hard to see your value.
Yeah.
And when you don't think your thing is the greatest thing, or it's not, you can't present it in the greatest way, you dim your own light and you choose not to even.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, you don't even have to be perfect. I mean, don't get me wrong, you don't want to get up there and embarrass yourself, like struggle over awards, you want to have some kind of like minimum standard, but then again, you don't have to be like, what's his name? Steve Jobs, perfect, right?
It don't have to already be a $10 million business. That's not the purpose. The purpose of it is to get the idea out.
Yeah.
You have some baseline of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And what's going to put you to the next level is, if I got a boost from someone, and but I don't know. I just believe, like, I think about
how do you fix that, right?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that's part of what I'm doing with ACE is educating folks on things like.
So we're doing this. We have like 8 investors showing up. Or, I mean, for 8 investors have signed up for to come. That's a different story, but
it's real stuff.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that we did do within ACE a couple of years ago at Amazon was we had the young men do a Shark Tank thing, like pitch an idea. And so similar to what you're doing, like I want to do that for youth so that they can present ideas to real investors and maybe that idea grows into something, right? But it's certain things that, I don't know, Jason, there's certain things that our community at times, we just didn't have conversations about, right? Like home ownership is one.
Life insurance.
Like all these things, trust funds. And there's just certain things that we don't talk about, and I guess you're just supposed to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Here's another story for you. So back in the day, we used to go to like the TAF Academy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is some kind of pitch competition, right? And to me, this is still the best idea I've ever seen anyone pitch, right? These 3 8th graders, they pitched the idea of taking your phone and using your electricity of your body to charge your phone. Like
yes,
I think you were there too. Like, oh shit, that's the $1 billion idea. And then a week later, the kids stopped for the program because something happened to their parents. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's not good. Like, I mean, your body has electricity, right? Like shit, that's fucking golden, right?
So where are we at now? How do we start this conversation? Right? Like it's stuff like that. And yeah, but as a young person, like I have an idea.
Mhm.
I don't know how to start a business. I don't even
Yeah.
know the tech. I don't know, but I have this idea
Mhm.
that when my phone is low, maybe there's some way I can use, and it's those things. And as adults, sometimes kids see things way different than we do.
Way different, way better.
Yeah, but we have the resources to help them, right?
Yeah.
But it's exposure, it's opportunity. So when you talk about the have and the have,
Yeah.
are we giving those who don't have access and opportunity, or are we blocking?
Yeah.
Right. The term is gatekeepers.
At minimum,
right?
we should not be blocked. At a minimum.
Yeah, just
at a minimum.
Move out the way, man.
You're gonna be blocking.
No.
If you don't want to help or bring people up, okay, I got it. But at least don't block.
Don't stop me from doing it, right? And
don't make some random bureaucratic rule.
What is this? And so this is kind of like the whole affirmative action thing that we, talked about a little bit. It's like, I think the white and Asian community is doing fine as far as accessing college. Like, I think you guys are doing okay. I don't think there's a issue. Yeah. Okay. The one
Asians are doing better than anyone.
Anyone. Okay. So yeah, every year there's a couple of students who feel they should have gotten in something.
Yeah. Of course, I've heard all the time, like though, equal opportunity. The demographic that did best equal opportunity was white females.
Yes.
I've always heard that. I've never researched it,
It is. No,
I'm not going to be on top of people said I do research on Facebook, whatever.
I am.
I've always heard that white females are the best.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. White females benefited the most from affirmative action. There is a whole list of people who benefit from affirmative action opportunities.
Yeah.
And it has to do with gender. It has to do with military, veterans and service, disability, age, race. That's not the order of who benefits from it. It's white women. Then it's racial groups. The conversation then immediately goes to black.
Yeah.
Right. There is a fixed conversation of white and black in this country. It's a fixed conversation. So when we're talking about access to things, they used in this recent conversation the Asian student to push this agenda, but the conversation was about black kids, and somehow black kids aren't good enough, and they're only in because of this thing. Like, no, there's other race groups who benefit from affirmative action, as well as military veterans, those who have disabilities, right? And the purpose for that was the haves blocked everybody else. And so the only way for folks to get just a little bit of that apple was legally, there's something had to be put in place to say, just move out the way.
So let me ask you this. This should be a serious question, right? Equal opportunity, right? Should people, like we'll say kids of Bill Cosby, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, like rich people in general, take advantage of equal opportunity?
Yes.
Think so?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't think finances is necessarily the conversation that it's centered around. Now, are they in a better position? Because money talks in this country, we know that, right? But if you're black, you're black. No matter how rich you are, you can still get pulled over, and you know what I'm saying? I think we are talking about hundreds of years of social issues that will not be solved because my father made a little bit of money, right?
That's a great point. Bill Cosby and them were like any rich black person, minority, make a lot of money, right?
Okay.
But basically, it's not like money. Like people think Shaq's rich. Like when he's playing with the LA Lakers, he made a lot of money. No, the person rich for fucking Jerry Buss.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's good. LeBron, it's good money. But your point, right? Like, yeah, the challenge, and this is where I push you, and I understand the question. The issue though is when it comes to us, our way of breaking into that space tends to be entertainment, right? And so there's some white dentist somewhere who's probably making as much as, you know what I mean?
Have you seen this skit with Chris Rock on TV?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
you're like,
it's real.
my neighbor was a fucking dentist. Like it's me, Jay-Z, Mary J. Blige. My neighbor was a fucking dentist.
A dentist or a hedge fund person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so should they still get access? Because I think part of that is the assumption that finances fix the
It's only one
problem.
generation, like you
That's
said.
it.
There's not multiple generations.
And he plays basketball, man. Right. Like, I'm not saying he's not intelligent, and Bill Cosby tells jokes.
Yeah.
Right. Do they know how to get their kids into college? Like we're assuming now they get it, right? They understand, or they got people around them that'll do it. And it's like, not necessarily.
No.
You know, are they better off than my dad was? You know, yeah, no doubt about it, right? They're not gonna have student loans if they get in, right? They're gonna be good. They probably went to better academic high schools, and if they struggled, they probably had tutors. But what do we know about the case that happened some years ago when the rich folks got caught paying for their kids to go to school?
At USC,
right?
So, you know, like my daughter is on her own team. No, she's not.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where the unfortunate side of it for LeBron's kids are like, when you are a person of color and you get into those spaces, college in particular, you don't feel like you belong.
Yeah.
Right. So, they're going to look at LeBron's kids like you're only here because LeBron is your father.
Yeah.
Right?
You paid your way in.
Right. But somehow, if you're Bill Gates's kid, you're intelligent.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a narrative that's all fucked up.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. And that's some of just the weight we carry. And so, even if you get rid of the race part of a front, that part won't change. There's always going to be some, oh, you must have somehow did something because you can't be as good as me in this space, right? And the reality is, you know, a lot of these kids are getting to these schools.
Do you remember this happened a while ago where maybe 10, 20 years ago when Snoop Dogg's son and Puff Daddy's son, I don't know what he's calling him now, whatever his name is, their sons got athletic scholarship. Their sons got athletic scholarship, football scholarship at UCLA, and they got blasted, right? Oh, they have a lot of money. They don't need to do this, right? Like they earned that.
They earned that
through their athletics, right? It's not academic scholarship. It's not anything else. It's not need based.
No, it's
and people actually online blasting Snoop Dogg and Puff Daddy for not paying for the sons. It's like, are you kidding me, right?
But you don't do that with anybody else.
No.
So no, I shouldn't have to pay. They earned this, and you're going to use my child to make money.
Oh,
they're not just a college student. Like you're going to use them to sell tickets.
That's back before NIL was a thing, right? You know, they used to shut up them two kids. Recruiting, everything.
So hell yeah.
Come go to UCLA and you might be able to hang out. You might be able to have sex with Snoop Dogg's son.
Maybe.
You know,
right.
Some shit like that.
Or who was the kid at USC? Master P.
Yeah,
his son was, you know
what
I mean? Yeah, like come on, you knew you were selling tickets so fans can see Lil Romeo sitting on the bench.
Yep, that's all he did, sit on fucking bench.
That's all he did too. But he was on the team, so I guess.
Yeah, true. All right, hey. So is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't, or anything else you want to talk about?
Man, what didn't we? I think we covered everything, boss. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Can you give us your social media links for yourself and your company so people can reach out to you?
Everything is Ace Academy WA. Ace Academy WA.
Okay.
And that's our website is aceacademywa.org, and our social medias are all Ace Academy WA.
And for those who don't know, org is because you're a nonprofit, right?
Correct.
And I should know this, but if you're a nonprofit, you have to be an org, right?
I don't know if you have to be.
No, okay.
But probably.
Okay.
I think all nonprofits I know are
org, right?
Org. Maybe maybe you get a discount or something. I don't know. That's good. Actually, that's a good question. I don't know if it's automatic.
Org, yeah. Maybe automatic, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I never even thought about that. It probably is some kind
of. All right. So we talked about a lot. So last thing, can you give us any wisdom or advice or anything you want to talk about?
Any wisdom, advice that we haven't discussed yet? I guess just still be true to self. Always be true to self. That's it.
CJ, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
All right, man. I appreciate you too, brother.
So listeners, thank you for your time as well. Remember to be great every day.